Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the Back of the Bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today's guest, I've got a belter of a guest on today. I am really genuinely looking forward to this. Is a founder of a company, not show your true colours, true colours. Mm-hmm. Show your true colours is the slogan.
That's correct.
I'm getting it.
Right.
He's an absolutely wonderful poet. He's a workshopper for, you've been all over the country, I presume.
Yeah.
Is that doing schools, doing prisons?
Colleges, schools, prisons, provisions.
Mate, I love you so much.
Everywhere.
You're awesome.
Trying to get in.
He's also an athlete. I'm going to shut up in a minute and just dive in because I want to hear about Emeka and what he's been up to. Because as I've been saying before the podcast, man, we don't see each other enough. We see each other bits and bobs. I'm like, hey, mate, how you doing? And then it's passing. I'm so happy I've got an opportunity to sit down and just hear about what you're about.
Vice versa. Bro.
So, welcome.
Thank you, man.
To the bus.
And you know what? Finally, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on as well, bro. It's wicked. And what a setup as well, man. It looks as good as it looks on camera. It looks actually better in real life than on camera, to be fair. But
Thank you. I remember you've been on once before, hadn't you? And that was when we were all tied up close and a bit cold, wasn't it?
You've refurbed here, definitely.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a change around, got some lights in.
Nice, man.
Made it a bit more cozy, and I've never done a podcast in the dark before, but I think it looks really nice and chill in here.
Yeah, man, it's nice. I feel cozy and it's warm.
Yeah, let's tell each other a bedtime story. Yeah.
Once upon a time.
So, how have you been holding up, through all this? Because when was the last time we seen each other? Was it about?
I'd say it's about a year ago.
Nearly a year, face to face, proper.
Virtually.
Because I really respect what you're up to, what you're doing. When you post a IGT video, I am watching that to the end because every time I listen, I know I'm going to learn something, and it's also for a honest place. It's a truthful thing that you're saying, so I'm all the way in. Yeah. So I've seen you've been exploring, helping people, growing the business, doing all this, but how have you genuinely been feeling?
That's a good question. It's a why question because I was saying to your missus before she left, actually, it's been like this because so much has happened in a year that I don't know, you're kind of like all over the place. But what I'm trying to do, and I've said this to quite a few people, is to let the creativity side, because this is probably the first time in my life I can think of where I've actually had free time where it's guilt-free time. Does that make sense? Where they've actually given it, and I know it's a negative to a lot of people, which it is, but then I try to turn everything into a positive. This as well. So I get bored very easily. So if I'm not doing something, then I'm climbing walls or
Has that been instilled into you? Is that part of your life from a young age?
Maybe, yeah. Well, one of the things coming from like I say, African background, Nigerian background, born here but parents Nigerian, work ethic has been massive in our family, and don't sit there. My dad's like, Emeka, you're always watching football. Go and study, read your books. Like, well, no, I want to watch football, Dad. But it's always had it in the back of my mind. Just don't be sitting there idle. As much as we kind of banter about that, I just believe especially as you get older, you just have less time on the earth, don't you? So you may as well start making the most of it and making a bad situation good by being creative.
Where were you born then? Were you born in Derby?
Yeah, Derby boy. Yeah.
So let's jump into a bit of your background now, because you've got African heritage then. Nigerian. Mm-hmm. Do you go there often? Do you go and does your dad live there now? Or?
No, they're retired. Mum and dad are retired, so They come back every spring. So they're retired, living, they work their arses off here, for all their lives, never had a day off as long as I've known them, and always worked. My dad's got his own business as an aeronautical engineer, retired, and my mum was a nurse, worked for the NHS for nearly as old as I am. No, older than me, actually. What am I talking? That is old.
So she's a hero then?
Yeah, man. Listen, but before this, she was a hero to me anyway. Of course. And, so it was a matter of growing up in a Nigerian household, but having England outside of that house. Does that make sense? So totally. I had a great balance. I call it a blessing to have two cultures to go to, and take the best out of both and merge them somehow, and finding your way in this world is hard enough anyway, trying to fit in and all that.
Did I hear on a podcast or an interview once that your dad's royalty? Is there something there? Like, what have I stumbled on here?
Yeah, he's you listen well. Yeah, he's a king of a province in eastern Nigeria.
Just say that again.
He's a king of a province
Wow.
in east of Nigeria. It's called Igwe. The name is Igbo. Our tribe is Igbo, which is IGBO, which is the east of Africa. Because people say to me, "Can you speak Nigerian?" I'm like, "There's no such language as Nigerian. There's about 30, 40 odd like main ones, and then there's loads of dialects.
Sure.
And obviously English is the second language due to the colonization. So I get a bit of influence from all over the place, if that makes sense. And my pops, because he's done so much here and so much over there, because he fought in the Biafran War, he's captain ADC to Ojukwu in the Biafran War, and because he's done so much in the villages, helping bring water projects and building and everything, they voted him in as king. He said no at first. I'm not doing it.
Don't be daft. I'm not your king. I'm your mate.
Yeah, exactly. It's like no. But then we were like, he spoke to us about it. We said, you should go for it and change, because he didn't like the way things were done. So he's changed it in a more open and democratic, so to speak, way. And so again, it's using a bit of what we know here and mixing a bit we know over there. And that's what you do, mix the best of both.
And this comes across heavily in your lyricism, in your poetry, your cultures, and you're combining it all.
Yeah.
Do you find when you go to poetry gigs, when you meet people at schools and prisons and where you go, are they fascinated by your culture? And what do you think to people in this area, how little do they understand of culture, in honesty, when you're meeting on a daily?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and layered as well.
It'll always be like one shot, two shot, three.
Well, I'm gonna
try a piece of all of it.
I mean, like, culture is something which I think is flippant at times. People use it, it's a different culture, but do you actually know what culture is? Culture is something that people do to bring people together and something that people celebrate and people like. So I don't get it when people say I'm a different culture to you. So what? Well, let me find out about your culture.
Let's share it.
Let's share it. Thing is, like, even now, it's funny because we have a lot of coffee shops now.
Yeah.
People don't realise that's a European influence because we didn't have Costa and all those 20 years ago. When you go to the continent 20 years ago, everybody's just coffee shops in France, Poland, or Romania. And now it's the norm here. We had cafes and that was it. We have coffee shops now. But that is a culture that's brought in. And now we'll class it as English, but it's like Indian curry.
We do. We always claim that we ended up... we started this. This was ours.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't matter whose it is. We can all share it. We can all learn a little something and we can all get to taste. Imagine if you ate the same food every single day.
Realistically, what we did as a culture... English culture was just bumble about other countries and take pieces of it, bits, just grab it all and then bring it back and go, look what we've done.
This is ours.
I think it's integral. People do know their history, and through such a big moment at the minute with the Black Lives Matter movement, with all the politics up in the air. I've had to go back through my knowledge and my knowledge base and what I know about different cultures and just educate myself. And it has been so eye-opening, like really has. So
that's what it's about, though, isn't it?
Is that what you're trying to do at the minute with your poetry, with your creativity, is embellish that and show people... It's come together.
All one label, True Colours.
Yeah, that's why I love what you've done, actually. You brought it all together under one umbrella.
Under one umbrella, that's it. The clothing is a vehicle to the message.
I love that,
This is why I am True Colours the poet, because I'm showing my true colours when I'm talking about poetry. When I'm talking about things, I'd like to say I'm a social poet because I write about things I see, I experience. I did, you know the poem Culture Clash because you helped amazing video.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And, amazing video which you helped me put together. And I wouldn't have done it.
It was so easy to put together, honestly, mate, because it's so imagery based.
Yeah.
Like the whole way through it, everything you're saying, I'm like, I know an image for that. I know an image for that. So I'm just assembling something that is honestly perfectly written.
But you have to get the vision though, and you got the vision.
Well, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Because that's why I came to you. When you put it together, it's like, wow. But things like that, it's like I wrote it out of that poem came out of ignorance of me working in a school, and a teacher saying to me, what's that food? And
so is that why you're there doing a workshop?
Yeah, no, I was working for.
You
the
were
school.
actually working at the school.
I was working for an agency, working with the school, but I was there every day, and she just. the ignorance, I don't want to call people out or not, because it's not about that, but it came out of the fact that I'm thinking, you're supposed to be a teacher, and you're asking me, you're making this, sorry, not asking me, you're making this comment about my food when we've just done an international week about acceptance, but you're a hypocrite because you come into the staff room and you go, oh, what's that?
People are strange with food, aren't they? Like, I mean, that clearly bases on culture and not lack of understanding there. I used to have to go and hide in the toilets to eat my dinner because when I was 18, maybe 17, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I was always eating tuna and rice. But when I had the cans of tuna, people would always comment on it and make you feel like really small. I used to just go and hide and eat it somewhere else. But it's like, just let me eat.
Yeah, let me eat.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You don't have to comment on everything I'm doing.
Exactly. Why are you watching me? Just let me eat your food. And that's why I went to the kitchen and wrote Culture Clash. I did exactly.
Wicked,
I didn't go to the toilet. I ate my dinner in the kitchen, away from the staff. And out of anger, I wrote Culture Clash in about 10 minutes.
I was going to say, was it one of them that just spills from you?
Spill out.
It was
I just
conscious
couldn't believe
stream.
the ignorance of. And I was thinking as well, like, I'm born here, you're born here, but what difference does it make that I'm doing something different to you? I don't get that. Why does that annoy you, or why is that weird to you? Why?
And I'm trying to make a mockery of it and tell everybody around you to join in. They want everyone to go, oh, join this. I'll always go and speak to that person because I've seen that exact what you've just explained then done to somebody else, and I'll go up and make a moment to say, no, what is that about, man? How have you cooked it? And
what is in it?
Just be curious. Just find out about people.
What do you think I'm going to ask you this now? What do you think that makes people have this fear, or not fear, but like this sort of aversion to something different? What do you think that is?
I feel I'm very lucky and blessed. Like, my mum's a Mullen Froze and I'm a Markham. So her family are from Persia. And my granddad was a doctor. And he was like quite a famous doctor around here. He looked after loads of people. We're from Ripley, which is where the EDL was branched from, BMP. Bro. So one of them really tempestuous times. My granddad was one of the outcasts, but also loved because he fixed them.
What he did for them.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It was really strange time because they were like, we don't like people of difference, but we like you because you're healing. And it's a strange position.
It's the same with the food shops, takeaway shops. You got people that are racist as hell, but then they'll go to Indian restaurant,
give them a hug as well, and hey, nice to see you, great
or
food,
Caribbean food,
go back out,
and then they're racist as hell again. It's like, you don't understand. That's what makes me angry. It's the hypocrisy. If you are racist, then just own it and go, you know what, I don't like you people, and then we can have a conversation about it. But don't be like, oh, I love you, and then as soon as you go, oh, I hate those people, and they're the people that I cannot stand. And there's too many in England like that because they're not brave enough to own their ignorance.
And I suppose that's what I'm saying. Like, I got the blessing of going abroad a lot. So I went, lived in Australia for a year. Then from Australia, I travelled to Thailand and did 6 months there. Come back home for a bit. I lived in South Africa for a year.
Did you?
So Pretoria, went all up and down. And I've just been given that blessing to meet, because when you go into hostels, every day you're meeting somebody from China and you end up being best friends with everybody. Like, there is no...
You're in the same boat.
There is no race, there is no colour, there is nothing other than, what are you up to today? Where are you going?
Exactly.
What are you about? What's your family get up to? And that was the biggest blessing for me. So I'm really happy that I went travelling.
Opens your mind up.
It really does.
Travel is the enemy of ignorance. I always say that. Travel is the enemy of ignorance. The more you travel, the more you learn.
And when I have these conversations with people back home, I think it really is. I think it comes from a main place of fear. You know, they don't want to... They don't like change. They don't like people coming in their territory, telling them how to feel, what to think, how to be. But it's not about that. It's like you said before, perfectly, it's sharing. You don't have to eat like this. You just have to be accepting of, this is what somebody else does. Look, you can do what you do, but you can take little bits away that you like.
Exactly,
So it's tricky, man.
Do you know the irony of that, though? Is if you look at the history of the British Empire, that's exactly what they did. They went to other countries saying, you've got to do it like us. Change your names, change your religion. don't eat that. You're eating what we eat. You're learning to speak like English. This is why I said to the teacher, one of the things the teacher said to me, she said, why are you, so what's your name? I said, Emeka. She said, that's a weird name. I said, it's not weird, it's Nigerian.
Yeah.
She's like, well, how come where are your parents Nigerians? I said, yes. Well, how come they came here? And I said, you're asking the wrong question. You should ask why the British came to Nigeria first.
Yeah.
We didn't come to England first. You came to our country. And this is what people don't know. They're not educated. You know, all these countries that were colonised, Brits came to our countries first. And then when we come here to try and make a better life, people go, "What are you doing? Stealing our jobs?" No, we were invited here as a part of the British Empire. We're British citizens, but yet we're classed as foreigners.
And I think
it's weird.
This is where people slipped up a little bit. Do you know when Black Lives Matter came about, and it was a really, and it still is, a very important movement.
Yeah.
But then it got people
jumping on,
arguing and against each other and fighting one another. What you said then, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you've just said.
Yeah.
And I think most rational-minded, conscious-minded people would go, yeah, that's totally what he said.
Yeah.
Then, like, what a lot of white people weren't doing is considering the shit you have to go through on a daily of ignorance.
That's
and it's like, no, I wouldn't do that though. I wouldn't say that. But it's like, stop going me and going that you think differently.
That's it.
But there's so many people that have that ignorance that we don't experience. So we're getting snappy at that because we're like, yeah, but I wouldn't be like that. Do you know what? Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Because people, I always say, to be racist, you have to be selfish because you're only thinking from your point of view. You're not thinking what it might be like to hear that same comment every day. You might think that's just a small comment, but when you've heard that every single day for the last God knows how, one day you might snap, and then the guy's going to turn around and go, "You've got an attitude. You've got a chip on your shoulder." But no, I haven't. Well, it's because it's been built up by that same comment, and you might not have meant it like that. You might have been the one out of 100 who wasn't being racist when you said it. But I've heard that with racist connotations so many times that it sounds like it. So if it sounds like it, I'm going to react to it that way. But people don't know because they've never experienced. So I would say it's a blessing in a way that you don't know what that feels like. But then I turn it around. Have I ever been a woman before? No. I can't tell a woman what it's like. If she goes, "I've got period pains," and I go, "Oh, get over it. Come on now," because I can't see the pain. I'm like, "Get over it. Don't be so..." Who am I to tell her that when I don't know what it feels like? You know, I've never been female, so I don't know what it's like. So I can't tell her to get over it because I don't know how much it hurts.
That's again. I'll clap right back at you.
You've got to put things into layman's terms for people sometimes.
But this is what happens on a constant micro scale. I mean, this isn't because of the pigment of my skin, but just me going out. I love like pink colours and like pastels and stuff, and I go out in tie dye. But going to the gym every day, I'll go there. Even the walk there,
people looking.
You look a little bit odd today, mate. Or like, you know, I love shorts. But everyone has to just have their little say.
Why though?
And go, that's weird. And people do say the word weird needs changing.
Definitely.
But the one thing I've managed to do, but I can do this because it's my clothing, is own it. Because I've made little statements up in my head. That when I wear shorts, everyone that says something to me, I'm like, if you want to see summer, be summer.
Okay, exactly.
But I've got things built up in my mind now that I can go to, but it's still like I get this on a micro scale, but it is irritating. As much as I put on a face, smile and go, yeah, be summer, whatever, I don't need it. I don't need it through the day. It's like, just wear what you're wearing, wear your black, wear your standard, what everyone else is wearing, and I'll just try and stand out, not because I'm a massive ego and I want everyone to look at me. It's because I legitimately like wearing this and feel comfortable.
You're showing your true colours.
True colours, baby. Hey, just like I've got on now, guys. Let me get up.
Yeah, man. Big in the game. Big in the game.
Let's. I love this. This podcast will go everywhere, and that's why I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's go to Mini Emeka. Like, what was childhood like for you then? What were you growing up through? What were you experiencing?
You know, when you first thing I think of my childhood, I think I had a really good, great, happy childhood. I grew up in Mickleover. You know, I wasn't aware of colour then in those days, which I'm glad about actually. Because you kind of a bit more free. You know, that ignorance is bliss. Good mates. I had a good upbringing. I would say we went from working class to middle class. My parents came here, and then they moved from Bristol to Normanton, and from Normanton my dad worked at East Midlands Airport as an engineer. Then moved to Mickleover, where me and my brother, two brothers, had to share a room. But like my dad had stepped up basically up the ladder sort of thing, and then we moved from Mickle over to Little over to 5 where we all had one room each. So and then my dad got his own business.
All right, then, Mr. Posh.
Yeah, no, but this is the thing. This is my thing. Going back to, I know we were talking about me as a youngster, but politicians.
Yeah,
so many politicians haven't done that. Why have you not gone through the levels to understand? And then you can empathise what it's like. I've seen my when we were younger, going back, I didn't see my pops apart from Fridays, because by the time we'd gone to bed, he'd come back from work. When we go to school, he'd already left for work. He worked so hard. So when he saw him on Fridays, where he used to bring chocolates in his sandwich box.
Okay.
And I always had a Snicker. It was marathon back in the day. That's how old I am. It's a marathon.
What, a marathon bar?
Yeah,
I'd heard of them, but I've never experienced one. But is that what a Snickers is?
That's what it was. Because
Simple as
Snickers
that.
is a European name, and then England went and, follow suit Europe again. See what happens when we come together?
Just nicking everything. Drenching it.
Exactly, you go abroad. It's
Filthy robbers.
Exactly. And my mum worked nights, so she would stay up. I'd play for Derby Boys when I was younger. I think I was 9 playing for under 10s, or 8 playing for under 10s. Because I was very good when I was younger, and some would say very good as I got older. But
mate, I watched your videos today. I was watching the poetry, and then suddenly one of you doing kicky ups came on. And
really?
I thought, you've got a touch. Yeah, okay. I see what you're up to.
when
balance it on your noggin.
Oh, you saw that, did you?
Yeah. I'll be double footing you at that moment though on the pitch. You taking a mick out of me?
I'll never do it on the pitch though, no, because that's when you get smashed. But like, so my mum took me to football. She never went to sleep. She'd stay awake, work nights at the DRI, and then come back. And then my dad would be knackered from the weekend, so he'd stay in bed, and my mum would stay up and then take me to football, to Derby Boys. So if we're playing Barnsley or Leeds or Sheffield, she'd come on the coach with the lemon bonbons, give it out to the kids and whatnot. And
mate,
I really appreciate that, And also they saved up for me to go to Osnabrück, because all Derby Boys go to Osnabrück because it's the twin city of Derby.
Okay.
Which I didn't realise, but I was too young. It was in West Germany in those days. And and again, I'm glad I didn't know about all the, because there was there's a picture of me next to a swastika. I didn't know what it was.
Seriously?
I swear to God, yeah. I should have.
So you were just trying to have a nice little.
Yeah, I was on the fence like, look at this, mum. I'm in Germany. Yeah, not realising that's like get the fuck out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
okay.
Ignorance is bliss again.
Yeah.
But so I've gone through
Some
them.
interesting thought. Is ignorance bliss? But yeah, it was in that moment.
In that way, it's bliss.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the way I understand that saying.
Yeah.
Bliss in the fact that you don't feel the pain because you're ignorant to it. And then there's bliss in other ways where people are. Well, I get pleasure out of making somebody else feel horrible. So,
Sure.
Basically, I've come through the ranks and football, and then went to. I shouldn't knock that. I should have for the camera for
That's
the
all right.
mic. And then from there went to comprehensive, and then my dad took me out. Said, "You're going to boarding school." So I went to boarding school.
Why did he take you out comprehensive? Was there a reason?
Yeah, I was football mad, basically.
Just football mad.
Football. All my reports said very intelligent. All he cares about is playing sports, and all my sports is A. And again, coming from a Nigerian background, education is massive. African background, it's massive. Education. Emeka, study. You need to study. Show me your books, Dad. What does this mean? Go and look it up. Get the dictionary and find out.
Sure.
I think that's one of the reasons why my vocabulary is good now, because he forced me. And when I watch
explorative mind, curious, always searching,
or read books, if I don't know the word, I'm straight onto now is Google.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Or like, do you know when you overuse the words, which I edit these podcasts, so I check myself out, and I'm I'm always saying that. If we played bingo for every time I said that, there'd be a full house somewhere.
I've got that as
well. Again, I always type in another word for and whatever that word is, and I look down this thesaurus list, and it's good to educate yourself. And my little game I play in a day now is make sure the one new word that I've got to use it 3 times in that day.
Kids, mate. I say make sure I've got to use it in the next poem.
Okay, that's cool.
Esoteric was the newest word.
Esoteric.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Me and Chrissy were talking about that word literally yesterday at
Really?
Mum's. Is that's not the one for meaning? Is like it means?
I think. It's basically when a group of people are privy to a
Esoteric.
certain amount of information.
Sure.
So politicians can be esoteric, where they'll use a certain words that only they'll understand and the rest of us won't.
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
That works for me, yeah.
So that I say a lot of politicians and esoterics, they use language that young people are not even going to listen to or understand.
Because I learned the one about politics and language recently.
I hope that's the right definition.
Yeah, I will. I'll put a little in this. I'll put a little dictionary definition up when we say it.
And prove me wrong.
It's going to be in something totally different.
Yeah, we probably will as well. But
Phatic was a good one. Yeah. That was like, do you know Donald Trump's like "Make America Great Again"? We can do all this language, but it just means it's got no substance.
Yes,
it doesn't actually mean anything other than just trying to spur people on, saying But esoteric,
esoteric.
You've got that in my head now because I had that in like a whole conversation yesterday.
That's brilliant. Small world, man.
Words,
Small
dude.
World. Yeah, I love words.
Let's go back in. You were playing football at a pretty high level.
Yeah, decent level.
You only cared about football. That was all that was going on.
No women, not anything else, not alcohol.
Not educating.
Not educating.
So your dad said, right, that's it. You're football mad. Yeah. You're going to boarding school.
Which never played football as well, by the way.
Did they? Oh,
no,
right.
They didn't play football.
So do you think... On a hypothetical point, if you'd have gone down that line, do you think, and just played football, do you think you would have made it?
It's a difficult question. I know I was really good when I was young. I'm a lot better than everyone else. And people, it's not just me saying this is what I was told. Even when I was 9, my headmaster said, when you get your tickets to Wembley, when you get to the final at Wembley, I want you to be, I want you to get me tickets, whatever. But I don't know. I just know that because my dad was very education based, a lot of the kids were going there with their parents, and I didn't have that. Especially as a boy, wanting your dad down. I'm not cussing my dad, by the way. He's a great dad. Yeah. Because if you ever listen to this, why are you saying that? I'm not neglecting. I didn't neglect you. And he doesn't speak like he speaks really posh, but I'm putting it on for the humour.
Please do, man, because I'm enjoying every time you go into it. I'm like, this is me.
He's very posh. Actually. He speaks really poshly, but I'm just, but like he would.
Emeka, why did you do that?
It's like it would be like that. But he was saying to me like, don't. You're not going to say that I'm rubbish, are you? No, Dad, I would never say that. He wouldn't say that to me anyway because he doesn't know I'm coming onto this.
I know he's not rubbish. If you sprouted out of him and their existence, then I know he's a good guy.
Mum and Dad are great for different reasons, but like at that time, my dad thought he was doing what was best for me to get my education. But to be fair, my grades were better when I went to boarding school, but I had a great time there. I'd met some great friends. I got into the English schools athletics. I played for the I got into Nottinghamshire rugby. I didn't want to play. And also, when I was at my comprehensive, there was football or rugby. I chose football. And then when I was in the papers, I think, and then when I came back to visit my school, the PE teacher said to me, "Oh, see how you can play rugby over there, but you can't play rugby for us." I said, "Because I don't play football there. I don't play football. I've got no choice."
I was stuck for choice,
stuck for choice. And they didn't like me because I said, "It's easy, just pick the ball up and run with it." And I was rapid in those days. So I'd come home every weekend with bruises on my legs, and we'd go to church on a Saturday. So I'd get back Saturday afternoon, I'd be like, and then having to play on Sunday football, bruises and a lot. So I'd always put a fake note to the sanitarium, the nurse, so I could get out of rugby.
Right, I get you.
Then I didn't go to, so I got into the Notts, Links, Derbyshire, 3 counties.
Fantastic.
But I pulled out. So
how old were you at that point?
I would have been 16 then.
Okay, yeah, 15, I played 16. For NLD at that point. Yeah.
So I opted out because I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
So I was coming back. So anyway, I left year, what was it, 5th year? What do you call it now? I'm so old.
Probably year 11.
Is it
That's
year 11?
When you leave, or you get to go to sixth form or college after that.
So is it 6th form? Yeah, I should know this. And I go to school.
You go to schools, but
I just know you're in that class.
Today. Go in that room, do what you do.
Second on the right. Yeah. I can't remember it. But it just shows you how old I'm getting. But where was I?
So your dad sent you to boarding school?
Yeah, so basically, so I went through that, skipped through that, had a great time. And also that was my first experience with girls because I was not at I wasn't sought after by girls at my comprehensive. And secondly, I wasn't interested either. So, but when I got to there, it was kind of like they were there all the time because it's boarding school. So, you start, and then it's the first time girls told me I was fit. I was like, me?
Yes.
And I was like, yes.
I'll have it.
Yes, get in there.
What does that mean? Yeah. I'm really athletic.
Yeah, you're fast. But also, again, that's another thing. When you're good at sport at schools, this is, when you go into this thing about, we were kind of talking about conforming and all that. When you're good at something or hard.
I'll just pop this back on.
Yeah, who's the hardest or who's the fastest? That's all all people care about in schools like that. So I was good at rugby, I was good at athletics, so that kind of brought that attention. So whenever we do a school meet, all the girls would be round the side and I'd win, feeling like Usain Bolt before Usain Bolt was around.
Funnily, at boarding school, like, because you've got a very open, aware mind, and you've come from different cultures, so you've been given this gift to think differently.
It's a blessing.
Did you have that blessing? Was it a curse, though, while you were at school? Did
100%.
people try and repress you, tell you to not talk like that?
100%.
What sort of things were you experiencing in education?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, because, like, another thing, I did get bullied at school, though. I got bullied at the comprehensive, not at the boarding school.
Can't imagine you getting bullied,
But
bro.
it was verbal. It was verbal. It wasn't physical. So I had big feet. I've still got big feet now, but I had probably the same size feet then.
Okay.
As now, you know, so they were like calling me also. The thing is, this is what I was going to say. I don't care from my point of view, but when people are making you be aware of it, then you start becoming paranoid about stuff. Because I didn't know I had big feet. No one told me that, and I didn't care either. And also, you know, I loved it, you know, and I got all called all sorts. But the thing is, I wasn't aware of these things, but then they made me conscious of it. So when I left at the stage where the friends that I was at junior school with, when they came to my senior school, they kind of got a bit cliquey amongst them. So I introduced them, and then they kind of left me out of the group. And then they started ripping me. It's weird. And also because I was the only one in the football team then as well. And I think I'd leave, when you played for Derby Boys, and they say we were playing like Wakefield, you'd leave in the middle of school and you'd have your Derby Boys blazer on and your school tie. And so you're a bit of a, you could leave in the middle of geography, which was shit.
I remember that feeling, you know, actually,
you feel like a don, and I think they might be player hating a little bit.
Not for Derby Boys, but just playing for my school,
area,
like, and especially rugby. I was quite good at rugby, but you'd go on in your little kit, you get on the bus, and like all your mates you'd be waving off. I remember that. You give me like a nice nostalgic feeling of that then.
So looking back at it, maybe they was a bit jealous of that, because I took that for granted, because I love football. That was all I wanted to do. And then obviously going to boarding school, I learnt a lot. Mate, put it this way, I've never ever stood up when a teacher's come into a class before. And that was a standard thing.
Just so you had to show respect from the off and authority.
So I know there was a bit of roughness with me, because I challenged prefects and stuff. Well, you didn't do that there.
Right.
Who are you talking to? Because that's what at my school you had to be like that. So I was like, who are you talking to? What are you talking to me like that for? And they're like, you can't speak to me like that. So I'm like, why? You shouldn't speak to me like that.
So they've got this sort of power position as well.
That was because they were house captains. They wore gowns and stuff.
Right.
So you couldn't
like to wear this badge.
Yeah, exactly. So some of them
doesn't speak to me that. I don't like that.
And they
doesn't act well.
Play on it, exactly. Yeah. So he kind of got my back up. But I had a great time there, and I learnt a lot about me, because that's the first time I'd been to Derby Boys, Osnabrück, I can say, cried my eyes out, got homesick when I was 8, 9, you know, and then by the time I got to boarding school, I was so used to being away from my parents, I was loving it, if you know what I mean, because it's like all of a sudden it got a little bit of independence, and a lot of the guys had money there. We didn't have that much, because my parents scrimped and saved to get me to go there. But they were on the ladder on the way up, if that makes sense. So I didn't have that money that they had.
Yeah.
But I had me as a person, I had my charisma, I had my jokes and laughs, so I was quite popular at
Was
school,
that a popular,
without the money, if that makes sense.
I get you.
You know what I mean? So I kind of blended in, and my first ever girlfriend lived in a manor, for crying out loud, bro.
Wow.
Had a car pick us
really?
up. Yeah,
a car picked you up?
Picked us up. She had a driver.
A chauffeur?
I swear to God. Horses like you have.
Yeah.
And I was
I like that horses are a sign of wealth.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'd never seen it in Derby, where I come from. I'd never seen anybody with their own horse.
That was it. I went to a school to do a workshop, and I was like just talking to these kids on a quite trivial level of like, what you up to today, what you doing? And my usual schools to these sort of deprived areas where it's like, don't know, play games, watch film.
Yeah.
This girl's like, yes, I'm going to this horse lesson, and then I'm going for opera after. And I was like, what? So
those two things are synonymous too.
At the same time.
Rich, horse trade. So that was just a big eye opener. Yeah, that was a different type of richness. You know, armour in the room. Like the armoured guards.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Stood in the corner.
You're painting a picture of Harry Potter to me at the minute. That's what I've got Hogwarts in my head.
And she had her own wing, bro. At 16, I was able to stay in the same bed as her, and her parents were on the other side.
A wing of the house. Oh, wow, okay.
But I didn't do anything.
Why did you let this dismantle?
Again, I was like I said, I'm very naive compared to a lot of my mates who've been with lots of girls at that age. I was naive, and secondly, I remember her telling me she loved me, and I remember thinking, What are you telling me that for, man? Don't
Back
tell me
off.
them things. Jeez. So that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So that was it. I didn't I had my first alcohol after my GCSEs at 16 and had 4 ciders in Lincoln.
Good session?
Biggest headache I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Did
you do things you regret?
I fell into people.
Yeah.
I was sick.
You're
outside.
my best mate.
Yeah.
Come here, you.
Mate,
I
it's
love
terrible.
you. I've always loved you. We just met. I love you for ages.
And I never drank again till university after that because I was like...
good work.
Yeah, well, it put me off that much.
What was the gap between that then? Was it football still after?
Yeah, it was football, but it was... because I left boarding school and I went to Mackworth College. And then I played for the football team there. Then scouts started looking at me again because I was only... I would have been 17 then, yeah. So where would I have been? I think I went to... I was either at Forest or Stoke City, I can't remember. But basically, I was 7 because I was back in Derby again. So I was playing Sunday football. And then my dad was like, no, you're not signing for Stoke. You're getting your education, going to university. So that was another... Which is... I get it now. I was pissed off at the time.
Yeah.
It really sounds like I'm cussing my dad. I'm not cussing it because he did what he thought was right at the time. I'm just telling you what my life was like then.
So all you can do as a parent as well, isn't
exactly,
it? You've got to have that compassion to understand he just wants the best.
He wants the best, yeah. And he thought he was the best for me and I didn't. And
just interestingly thinking, like, say you've got a kid then, do you know how you'd approach that? Do you know what you would do?
When I've argued with my dad, I've said to him, I'm never going to do what you did to me, to my son. I know, just to get him back. Like,
I get you.
But yeah, so obviously I've learned in a way of, this is another thing that sort of helped me with True Colours, which is looking at things from another person's point of view. And it's so easy to go, well, I would do this if I was you, because sometimes parents live through their children, or they want the best from what they think of their era is right.
Sure.
But times have moved on and changed, so you got to kind of go, well, actually, you know, I was ignorant when I was younger to a lot of things. You could even say I was homophobic because I was brought up in a Catholic household, and it was said that it was supposed to be bad to be homosexual. Until I looked into it and I thought, well, hang on a second, if I don't want people to judge me for being black, or for liking Everton, soft spot somebody's got to, then how can I be hating on somebody because they like somebody of the same sex? So it's the same mentality. And also people who are gay, how can they be racist? Or people who are marginalised in any way, how can you be anything? I don't get that as well.
It takes the pressure off you as a person, doesn't it? Do you know when you don't have to hate somebody for whatever they do? All you've got to do is focus on you and your surroundings and the people around you.
And it makes life easier.
It just makes everything smooth. You don't have to look at, because I've done it in the past as well, like we're all from, there's nurture and nature, isn't there?
Of course,
conditioned mentalities. And I've not really had that from my mum and dad because they're very liberal, very kind-hearted people that would have anyone in the home. But you go to schools where other people have had that, and then you start wanting to fit into the groups, you start wanting to be a part of something. So you realise when you act unkind to somebody, that seems to get a response that other people are giving. So I'm like, right, okay, gay, that seems to be mean. I'll jump on that. So I've done that before to people, and I've got the empathy now to understand how easy it is to let go of that, not feel that, and just let people live.
Exactly, yeah. See,
so much easier.
Mine was with gay people. It wasn't, I never said anything to them, but it was more like, I don't want you sat next to me. Ignorance.
I get you,
Stupidly ignorant.
But you would have probably been told as well, like you can catch diseases, you can catch things from them. Like, I remember fearing that.
You know, I look back and I think, you idiot, but I'm glad that I didn't openly display my ignorance. Or maybe I did. Maybe somebody will tell me different. Maybe I have done. And I've probably said things not thinking about it, but this is, like I say, if I don't want certain things to happen to me, I've got to put myself in other people's shoes to try and think, what would they feel like if somebody said that to them or did that to them, on any level. On, like, so for instance, if somebody's mum is ill with corona and I'm not really into it, and I go, yeah, but my mum died of cancer. Do you know what I mean? Why am I comparing what you're talking about your thing, so I should empathise with you? Sorry, man, sorry to hear that. People can empathise with that.
And it also, along the line, you can say, I've had a situation in my life, and if you want to hear from how I've dealt with it, I'll give you some advice, but let's talk about you now, because this is about you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a much better approach. You do, particularly, I've had a lot of friends, female friends in my life that have always I've tried to console with, and they've always took it round onto them. That's just an experience. That's not a generalisation.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I've had that experience. So I was like, can we keep this back to like the issue at hand?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like it's easy to do that though, isn't it? It's like, we get, like I say, human beings, we are brought up in this way of selfish. And also, the word selfish is not a bad thing, by the way, sometimes, because you have to be selfish to look after yourself. Selfish actually means going to definitions. It doesn't mean to take something as well. Selfish actually means looking after oneself first and foremost. And that's what it means. But when we say you're being selfish, that's when you are actually putting your needs over somebody's needs who needs more needs than you. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
But I think it's integral to have a selfish part of you.
Of course.
Because if you don't love yourself, if you don't entirely like look after yourself and you've got your own back, then you compromise yourself and you put yourself in daft situations. You just do things to make people like you, which has been the biggest lesson of mine. But if you just stand up for yourself, you're strong-minded, but you make sure along the way you're looking out for people, you're not hurting people, you're living by the golden rule. If you have them moral compass about you, that's what's the most important thing. I think there's a fine balance, and everything will come back to balance in this 100%, podcast.
Yeah, equilibrium is massive, and like you were saying before, that energy of to hate or to be annoyed with somebody, it takes up a lot of it. Or, if you've had a physical fight, how drained do you feel afterwards? Or when you've had a massive argument with somebody and you think, oh, why have I said that now?
You just ruminate in your mind as well, thoughts going over it, endless.
And it's like, oh, why did I say that?
And if you ever have that moment, but then become not the bigger person, but just get a side of yourself where you're like, I'm really sorry, let's go past this, I really love you, this was all coming from a loving part of my nature.
I'm stupid.
Everything stops. Everything stills, and you can live on.
And it's that thing as well, which I've had to learn as well, because I'm from a proud family. My pops is very proud. Mum's proud, for a proud culture, and it's that thing of also coming back to saying sorry sometimes and going, you know what, I own that shit, I've messed up. And I think as I've got older, I've got better at it, because before I used to think it would make me some sort of a weaker person to admit a fault, but at the end of the day, it's like, again, I know we go back to racism, but it's one of the main topics that's happening. If somebody admitted to me, I'm racist, or I have been racist, I'd have so much more respect for you than going, no, I'm not racist, that wasn't racist, I didn't mean it like that. Well, no one said you meant it like that, I'm explaining to you what it means. But you don't want to listen to what it means, you just want to exempt yourself from what I'm talking about. But it doesn't make you a bad person that you have said something racist. What makes you a bad person is not wanting to listen why it was racist. To not want to know is bad, to not wish to know is worse.
That's cool. That's going as a clip of the podcast.
It's to me, it's so relevant to how somebody would think about something else. So again, I always go back to that word, empathy. Is so underrated. But just put yourself for a split second in that person's shoes, and while you're telling that person, if you did that to me, this is the line, I'll tell you what, if somebody called me that, I wouldn't give a shit. I love it when people say that. That's one of the most go-tos. If you call me a white, blah, 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 I wouldn't care less. Well, okay, if I put you in the middle of Nigeria where you're the only white person, and somebody mentions you being white every day in some way, shape or form, I can guarantee you it would affect you, and you start being paranoid, and you start thinking, is he looking at me because I'm white? Or is he blaming me because I'm white? You will. And it'll become that, but because they've never been in that situation,
it's a very powerful
get it.
Image you created then. That's really good image.
That's how I want people to see it. Step outside of your own shoes, put yourself in a situation where you are the minority. And this is why it's a white privilege thing, is when you've never been in that situation, so you can't empathise. My normal life is going into a shop where it's all white people, but I don't even notice because it's just people. I don't notice it. I swear to God, it sounds stupid. I'm used to it because my parents grew up. They had friends from all over the world, Kenya, from India, Zimbabwe. I just remember accents. That's why I love accents. And I had a guy, Sammy Lee, Chinese, Scots, Jamaican. He's Chinese but born in Jamaica. He's like, look out for Chinaman here. I'm like, what?
That's so cool.
But he was wicked. You know? And so I didn't even think about those things. So it's just about trying to put yourself out of that situation and go, what would it be like to be like that? Even like with me as a male, to be female as well. Like, so when a girl's complaining about sexism, for me to go, stop going on about it, come on, man. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. You don't really know what you're on about.
But I don't know what she's been through. And all the times when she's the only woman in the office where lads are making lewd comments about her. And I've been the opposite, by the way, when I've been the male and females have done it to me when we've gone swimming and I've had to, and they've ogling at me and making comments. And I'm thinking, if I did that the other way round, woo.
I mean, the only expert we can be is an expert on ourselves, on our own experiences.
Yeah, that's it.
So to speak for other people and tell them how they feel and how they should feel is just totally wrong.
Yeah, because you can't ever know what somebody else is feeling. And also as well, it's going to this depression thing. A lot of people I found out had depression, but my ignorance before was, well, you don't look depressed, which is what people think, because it's supposed to have a
That's
look
a good one.
on
That's
it.
a good point.
Do you know what I mean? Just because somebody's
I've
smiling.
had that. Like when I got to my lowest of lows, I remember everyone, because I am the happy,
You
smiley
are,
guy,
you are.
like going round.
The last person I think.
People really don't expect it, and I had a really bad patch. But like, just hearing people say, "You're fine. You look fine. You're gonna be fine. Look at you. You're always smiling." Even when I've tried to open, that's where I just stopped opening up, and that's why it like got deeper
worse.
and darker, because I just stopped, because I didn't want to be told I was fine. When this panging feeling inside was just getting more and more and more.
Yeah, and they'd never understand it. That's why I did a poem called Paper Cuts, because I tried to explain to people what it feels like, because a paper cut is something that's painful, but you can't barely see it. So if I got a cut here, and I got about 20 of them, and then when I go in the shower,
you know it exists. It's definitely there.
You can't see it, so you're thinking, oh, it's nothing.
That's a good poem.
Because you, I need to learn that one off by heart though, because that's the one that hits home to a lot of people, because you can't really see them, so you think, oh, he's all right, he's cool, man, there's nothing wrong with him.
I'll go off of as well, like when you were talking about that, like if somebody went to Nigeria and was there as a white person, that happened to me in Joburg. Again, I lived in Pretoria. Is it Pretoria?
Pretoria, it is,
Pretoria for 6 months, and that was fine. There's about 4 big stories that happened there where something dangerous, but pretty much you were safe and everything was cool. Now, I decided after the 6 months I didn't want to work in the sanctuary I was working for anymore, which was looking after primates. So me and this partner, we decided to go travelling around it on this Baz bus. So it went all up and down the coast from Joburg to Cape Town and back up.
That's
but
massive.
Everyone told us when we were in Joburg, don't go into the heart of the city. They were just like, that's... I know you think you know travelling, you think you know South Africa, but you don't know Joburg. I was like, I'm fine. I know what I'm doing. I'm cool. And I remember I got onto, do you know the big white buses that everyone gets onto? So I'd been on them for years. But this time I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try it because I feel comfortable. I feel safe. I feel I'm in my element. I'm going to go. So I got on one, and I remember the stepping on was the moment I just looked and I was like, I shouldn't be here. But I went through with it. Anyway, I sat next to this guy. It's a packed bus. And as we were driving, I saw 2 dead bodies. Like there was a dead body, like really visibly there. And I know there was another one somewhere else, but it hit rigor mortis stage. And I'd gone to that level. I was like, I'm in danger here. I'm the only white person. Everyone's looking at me. There's like a hole in the back of my head from everyone sort of like weighing stuff up. And this guy came up and he was like, I won't do the accent because I'm rubbish at accents, but he's like, you're not safe here. And I sort of had a conversation with him. He's like, trust me, man, this is not the place you want to be. You're going into the heart of it. So... And I'm also with my partner who's beautiful, like this blonde, like she
blonde hair,
she was really rich, like blonde hair, blue-eyed, lovely
She's
girl.
She's going to get attention anywhere.
That's it.
So even more so.
So there was us 2, and I remember the bus stopped off, and people saw outside. They all looked in, and there were like 2 white people.
They followed it.
So they all came. They were started to follow as it's slowing down to a halt, and I'm like, we're causing a scene from just being white. And we're not used to seeing and then we walked off, and literally it like swarmed too. Like people were coming round like money or shouting at us. And the guy said, just follow me, come with me. And I had to just trust him. I've got a poem in my book called it's White Boy, but Johannesburg, because everyone was shouting, white boy. So anyway, we followed him, and I was like just trying to keep this girl safe, but also keep my wits about me. I was like, he could take me anywhere now. So then I was like, oh no. Anyway, he was trusting, and he took us to this taxi rank. And I remember I was like, mate, I've actually not got any money with me. We were going to try and get back. He gave me 50 rand. He just got my hand and said, go.
You,
but then, as the taxi ranks saw us, they all got out the taxis, and they all wanted to take us.
Because they can reach you.
I swear on my life, this is true. They were all having a punch-up. These taxi rank guys were punching each other over who got to take us. So we just randomly got in one car, and the winner of the fight ended up coming in and taking us away. But at the time as well, there was people banging on, asking for money and all that. But I was like, when you said that, it really rung here with me, because like I've had a moment like that, and maybe people aren't experiencing
and that's an extreme moment as well.
On the everyday in that extremity, but they're not experiencing that way. But to have again micro levels build up throughout your life and just be told you're different because all the time,
constantly being reminded. You're different.
I got a visual punch in the face of, this is what life can be like for people of difference. It was that was powerful.
Do you know what sounds mad? I can relate to that because when I go to Nigeria, it's a similar thing for me.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds stupid. Even though I'm black, when I go there, they know I do not live in Nigeria.
Really?
Because they can tell by how you dress. I wear earrings. Not many guys. It's changed more now, but back in the day, especially when I used to have braids, and then they think I was either American or English. So like literally, they see, due to British colony, they see anything that's English as rich. So the crowd. When I come to Nigeria, one, I don't tell the family that I'm coming there. I don't tell the village, sorry, and then secondly, we don't tell them when we're leaving.
Right.
That's a bit, so I obviously it's not the danger side of things, but it is they want to crowd you, want to see you, and they're happy that you've come there. You're living in England. Everyone stares at me, bro. You wouldn't believe it. In the province, everybody stares at me. Every single person, obviously because I'm Dad Igwe's son as well. So there's that status, but everybody's like, it is annoying afterward. But then when I go to the city, nobody looks at me because it's a big old city, and I'm like, why isn't anyone looking at me?
do you think this is very animalistic nature of to why people are so not offended, but like just scared of, fearful, whatever word you want to use, but of difference? Why are we so like? Is it conditioned? Is it more in our DNA? Is there something about us? Is it tribal?
I think as a human being, I think it's different in different areas because and I can talk for Africans of being there. The even though you felt in danger then, because you went into the heart of the heart, where it's homogenous. When I go to Poland, everybody stares at me because in their village there's no black people there, so everybody looks at me, but they're not looking at me as in I can tell the difference, bro. When I'm in Poland, they're not looking at me like, who's this? They're like, oh.
I get you.
Do you know what I mean? So they're looking at, and the security guard doesn't follow me around the shop thinking I'm going to nick something. It's not got that. They haven't got that innate. There's no stereotypes attached to it. I'm just different. Whereas in England, it's more of a manufactured racism. Whereas you are. They've already prejudged you because there's been a narrative about black people for ages anyway. So
I think that is fantastic what you've just said. That's really powerful,
Even just walking up here to meet you when you came to pick me up, I saw so many people staring at me, but it wasn't staring at me in a way that they're staring at me in like Europe. It was staring at who's he? In this English way you only know when you live here and you've experienced it. I know when somebody looks at me and they're racist, and I swear to God, you can ask most people because you've seen it so often, and you know that look. You know the look. It's not a look of, oh, who's he? It's like, it's a disdain look, but it's a hidden disdain look. And I've seen it. So I'm so observant. I freak people out. I go, I know you're racist, bro. It's okay. It's all right. And I know I'm not from this area. It's cool. Don't worry, mate. I'm not going to shag your women.
Yeah, I get
I'm not going to steal your wife. I'm not a thief. I'm not, sometimes I will. It depends what I'm feeling like. And it kind of breaks the ice a little bit.
I have a lot of sympathy for what you're saying. Like, because I can't understand that or experience that to that level.
Yeah,
but what you've just explained, I totally sympathise for, and totally I feel, again, we'll talk about the micros, but I've had them moments of my life where there's just a no within inside of you.
It's a gut feeling.
The gut's always right, isn't it? The gut's always right.
And also, this is another thing, when people go, oh, you're playing the race card. It's like, that annoys me, because it's like, there's no card to play. It's not a game to me. It's not, I don't want you to be saying those things, but I have to.
You're not looking to win a debate. Exactly. You're not looking to be seen as right or educated. You're just saying, this is my experience.
And this is it.
People who have got a different pigment of the skin feel this way. We've had conversations, and I'm just trying to explain and report back to you. I'm not trying to win a debate here.
I'm just trying to explain to you what you're saying is in that category of racism or prejudice, even if you mean it as banter, which is another word I hate, because people just use banter for the
try and draw everything off, don't they?
Yeah, try and pan it off,
play it down.
So it's just trying to get people to just come outside their own little shell for a bit and just go, hang on a second, I never thought it like that. If one person listens to this podcast and it changes the mindset of how they think, brilliant. Then hopefully they'll pass it on as well.
That's my philosophy as well. Like when I write a poem, when I put one of these out, if just one little, hopefully a mini Mikey, but anyone, anyone just watches it and has a new way of thinking from it, or just thinks in general.
Thinks. Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's it.
That is
I
enough.
want to take you down that route where it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and then also ask yourself, why does it make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because you're not comfortable with yourself in different surroundings, because you're not comfortable with yourself, because you don't know much, because you've not got any black or Asian friends, which is fine, nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing wrong with trying to find out. We're not much different.
Have you had any breakthrough conversations with people?
Yeah,
have you had some good moments with students, with people on the daily where you've been like, oh, that felt good?
Yeah, I've had some wicked. I even told you one on the bus today. As well,
please tell that anecdote. It's beautiful.
With the school kids. So I'm coming up on the bus to come and see you, and I'm like to the driver, "Where's Marehay?" I called it Marahay.
Marahay. You made it sound right posh. Excuse me, sir. Marahay.
That's just my poet's brain trying to split a word up to make it sound good, better or something, or fit in. But and he's like, "You mean Marehay?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's it." He goes, "Do you know which bus he went?" Sorry, I've hit your mic again.
Sorry.
And he went, "Oh yeah, it's this one." So I got on, and then we get to, like I say, no, just past it, and then these youngsters get on, and then.
What do you think they are, about 13, 14?
Yeah, a bit younger, some a bit older, and then one of them was like, "I've seen your..." I was wearing my true colour top, and he's like, "I've seen this top.
Yeah.
I've seen the logo. That was it. I've seen this logo before. What is it?" And I was like, "Well, what do you think it is?" And he said, "Oh, well, it's two hands, two different colour hands around the world." I said, what do you think that symbolises?" "Well, it's bringing people together." It's like, brilliant. And then I went on and explained to him the ethos about being true to yourself, embracing culture and individual differences. And if somebody's doing something different to you, don't hate them for it. Just be you for them and embrace it and find out a bit more about it. He's like, "That's wicked." And then he goes, "I'm an artist, so I like, what did he say? Graphic
image, graphic
image. That's the word he used, graphic image. And as I said, he spoke older than his age. He seemed to be a lot more mature.
You find that a lot nowadays.
Yeah. And he said,
having these conversations.
Yeah, and he just said to me, "You need to come into our school," because one of the teachers got sacked for... you can bleep out the school because I don't want anyone to...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can edit that a bit out. I just thought about that.
Don't worry, that's going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bleep that bit out. And then I just thought about that. I guess it's not a right trail.
Yeah. You have to be semi-conscious, don't you, when you're...
especially in this day and age. I'm glad it's not live. Basically, he says, "Oh, you should come into our school because we need people like you to come and talk about this," because one of the teachers got sacked for making a racist comment to one of my friends or whatever, and I think the guy was Asian, and he said something about the letterbox, copying Boris Johnson. And then when he was asked about it, he said, "Well, the Prime Minister said it, so why can't I say it?" And that was his go-to. And this is what it means about being a leader, going to that thing, because that
emanates, that manifests into the culture.
Exactly. Then you're giving somebody an excuse and leeway.
I mean, that isn't a good point at all.
No.
But I get what he's trying to come from.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like, oh, they're using it. This is not a PC term, obviously, if the president's using it or so.
Exactly. So the
Prime Minister. I'm in American culture now.
Yeah, exactly. We're the same difference. But like, if he's supposed to be the leader of this country, he's surely aware that those words are going to have massive impact on people. And that's why I think if you call yourself a leader, you've got to be responsible for what comes out of your mouth and who you say it to. But what I hate is that they'll make excuses for him. When he gets pulled up for it, they go, "Well, it's been taken out of context." No, it hasn't. You meant what you said, and you said what you meant. And just own up to it, be a man and go, "You know what, I said it, I'm racist and I need to learn." But he would never say that. English people, unfortunately, who are racist, never ever admit they're racist. So the Prime Minister's not going to admit that, is he?
Yeah.
Because then it's a sign of his weakness. But we know he is. We know the president was, the one before.
Yeah, he can't apologise, can he?
No,
he can't go, that was a lapse in my language.
Yeah,
I'll be aware next time. I'll be mindful of how I say it, and I'll educate myself.
That's a leader, because you're leading by example show I do make mistakes. We do get things wrong. That's true.
I do vote for policies, but mainly I vote for the person because I want somebody who I feel has got a heart
he's real.
in charge. Real, honest, if he slips, he'll talk about it, he'll be honest with it. It just feels everybody at the top positions seems so robotic. There's so, I can't really talk of one, maybe Corbyn really, but more than, other than that, I've really struggled with...
Same.
looking for a personality in somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
you look at the eyes of them.
Yeah.
You look in their eyes. You're like,
he's just there.
That's the that's the phatic language we were talking about. The jargon they're just spilling. They don't mean any of this.
No, they don't. And what's annoying is they get this stuff written for them by a geek who graduated from Oxford or Cambridge who just licks his arse and writes all these things to peace people. But
I want somebody that's in power to have gone through some psychedelic, shamanic experience, been to the other lands, been to other realms, been grounded, been beaten down, and been through bullying, been through everything that you could go through, hurt in the most profound ways, and grown as a person. I'll vote for you because I feel like you've got something to give.
Well, why do you think that the best artists or the most popular artists are the ones who touch a soul and I can relate to him?
You listen to one interview and you're like, oh, you've been through
When do
X,
you
Y,
ever
and Z.
see a musician get a politician to endorse them?
Yeah.
But when do you see how many politicians you see getting musicians to endorse them? That says it all to me.
Yeah.
You can see where the power lies. The power lies with those people, but we don't realise it. We get this idiot or whoever he is in charge and speaks with this posh accent, esoteric
language.
I hope this is right.
Fingers crossed it's going back on. I'm going to put a little dictionary definition up.
I hope it is. I hope I haven't got it wrong. So I've had some.
Because there's another word that sounds just like it as well.
That might be the one.
Esoteric and esoteric. Esoteric and esoteric.
But I think I'm just pronouncing
what I need for this podcast is a fact checker.
Now, I'm going to Google it.
Do you want to Google it?
I'm Googling it now because it's doing my head in. In fact, I've got a definitions page and I put it on there. So I've actually put it on my notes. So I've got.
Come on, guys. This is riveting entertainment right now.
Sorry. Right. Okay. I've got the definitions page. Let's go to it. Pontificate is another one. Pontificate is a very good one. I like that.
I reckon we just go down every word.
Esoteric, intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialised knowledge or interest. So esoteric philosophical debates.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? So
because I knew it was something to do with the existential, or is there a word for the existential?
There is, but don't test me on that.
Because I knew it was something of like a certain category would understand it, exactly, like a philosophical language and speak.
So it's like being privy to something. If you're privy to something, it means only you guys know. They say that estate agents are esoteric, so they'll have a language where they'll go, it's
cozy.
Archaic. Archaic is a word which I read it in a book called Freakonomics, brilliant book by the way, and it means estate agent, it means it's dead.
Right.
So they'll say, archaic house.
That's
when they're showing people around. It's a word which sounds.
That's what I meant by cozy. It's like when you go into this tiny little cupboard and it's like, it's really nice, warm and cozy. You're like, no, this is small.
It's small and cold. Exactly. Yeah.
I get you. So it's language that most won't attribute themselves to.
Attribute themselves. Yeah.
Words, man. Two poets on a bus. What could go wrong?
Everything.
And let's jump into that. Show your true colours then.
Yeah.
Because how was it the ethos that you stand for, the standing point of it, or did you go, I love clothes, I'm going to go with that first.
Both.
I've got an idea, and then you brought that along?
Both, because I always wanted to. It came out of working for companies that I thought, you're not full of shit. I'm not doing this anymore, because I was working, I'm not going to say the companies, but with people in vulnerable situations as a, what do you call it? What's it called? Engagement family officer, that was it. So basically we worked with families who had a history of worklessness, but you'd actually work with them. So if they had debt money management, if they had like hygiene, timekeeping, we'd work on those things. And if we couldn't work on those things, you'd refer them to somebody else. But then they changed it from going out to see these people to just getting them to sign on, come into our office, we tick them off, send them to the room next door, which is like we got a guy in to do, say if it was on domestic violence, he'd just talk for an hour for domestic violence to all these people. They'd write on their progress measure, you tick it off, sign it, and they get paid.
Right.
And I thought, nah, man, I'm not doing this now.
Again, it was very robotic.
Very robotic, and it wasn't about helping the people anymore. It was just about, because every person they signed off, they got paid for it.
Yeah.
So they were putting us on like targets. I used to come like this, and they go, and other people used to come in shirt and ties. And I'm thinking, if we're going to people that are below, not below, that's the worst thing to use, not below us. I mean, if we're going to people that are
deprived,
underprivileged, that's the word I was looking for. Why are you trying to dress above them? That's where that below us came. Why are you trying to dress like you're better than my shirt and tie, because that's going to cause a barrier straight away. I said it to the manager.
And quite bureaucratic.
Exactly,
you have to act a certain way, play a part of the system.
Exactly,
You can't show them your honest side of yourself. Yeah, you're true. Yeah, okay, I'm getting you. Yeah.
This is why. So this is where. So I left that and I just became a chef for a bit. And my mate Dave, I always big him up on every podcast, and he's not heard one of them. But like he hooked me up at a job as a chef, where he's manager there and posh-watting. Did I say that right? Pot washing.
Pot washing?
I said posh-watting.
Posh-watting? It sounds like a good job title.
Pot washing?
Yeah. I've been a pot washer in my time, but I wished I was the other thing.
Yeah, I can't even say that again. But like, so yeah, from there, I just did that for a bit. But then I had a meeting with my mate. I said, I want to start something because I can't be doing, I mean, I love doing that, but it was rubbish money, 0-hour contracts, which should be banned, by the way.
Yeah.
Load of nonsense. And obviously I was literally living from hand to mouth. And I thought I need something now that is going to not just be a business for me, but it's going to be last the test of time, and also help people do what I was doing, but do it in my own way, so that I've not got these agencies saying we're changing the ballpark. So I thought I love clothes, and what a good vehicle to a message. If I can stick something on there and then get a slogan with it, show you true. I thought, what can I call it? True colours. Okay, I always say to people, show you true colours. So I thought, right, why don't I use that as a slogan, true colours? And then I came up with this idea, and Vanessa Simpson from Derby College, Joseph Wright College, helped me to do this. Brilliant. But I know she
So did you draw like a little daft picture or anything like?
Yeah, basically
an idea.
Hands on a stick.
Hands on a stick, yeah.
I'm not a good drawer. And then there's a guy before him as well who helped me do the initial one, but then I went to her and she kind of formulated it for me. So it went from there. And literally, I was telling you, just before you came in, I started off with 15 quid. I bought 3 T-shirts. And then from that money, I got more. And I was saying to her, it's funny because at the time I was so broke. I didn't want anyone to know this though, and obviously, and people were like, "Oh, your true colours everywhere." I'd only sold 20 then, but they thought I'd sold loads because I was getting people, "Please post this picture." of different tops, and then we'll swap tops and all this, and like it just built. And I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, we're not huge now. 5,000 followers on True Colours Clothing at Facebook, which is amazing.
That's beautiful.
But we want to get more on the Instagram, which is, that's because that's where the message is at. That's the core of it, with the poetry, with the message, with the spoken word, with the videos, and like even your stuff as well. Which you've done, read all about it. And
that was ace as well.
Amazing.
Two fantastic films. I really enjoyed the production of that.
I loved them. And this is what it's about. It's about...
You are great with the marketing though. Like,
do you think so?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm learning as I go along. It feels
very nutritious in... like wholesome, really full. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone that's a part of it, they're not just like a poster boy or somebody there to be like, oh, look at this, look what I'm doing, and then they throw it off. You can tell they appreciate you, they appreciate what it's about. The whole thing's about, and that is what it is for me. It's very full and real.
Yeah, that's what I wanted it to be, because there was no point in me saying show you true colours and then being fake as hell and getting all these, because don't get me wrong, I've been approached by like glamour models and stuff like that, but this is not the image that I want to portray for it, because no disrespect to people who do whatever, I just want real people wearing the clothes.
Have you learnt to decline things that you feel won't 100%. Help operate you then?
Massively. My mate said, "You're an idiot, he's got I don't even want to say his name, he's got so many followers." I said, but he's a dickhead. Sorry. I don't want him wearing my clothes. I'd rather be poor and say, at least I've given it a go, than get millions.
Succumb to just anybody.
I don't want it to be generic as well. So I'm glad we're growing up slowly, because it's
a movement.
It's a movement. You've had, I know you've had it, where you have these people who email you saying we can boost your this and that
all the time.
I just ignore it, because
I've probably got about 15 in that. Like, it's not your messages, it's that hidden messages thing, and you look at it and you're like, what is all this nonsense?
Exactly. Yeah, you talk, and it's so long. I've been looking at your thing, they're making out like it's just personal to you, but they say it to everybody. So the first one you flattered, aren't you? Then
I'm not special anymore.
Exactly. You don't give a damn about me. So I'd rather just build it organically, brick by brick, as we like to say. Build it up, and I think anything that happens quickly over a short period of time doesn't last. Anything that's built slowly but surely is going to last the test of time. And this,
it's got that vibe to it. It's got that feeling.
I mean, but it relates to everybody as well, though. Everybody can show their true colours in a different way. It's nothing to do with skin colour. It's nothing to do with where you're from. It's nothing to do with your religion or your gender. It's to do with you as a human being. What are you going to leave before you leave this earth? No one's going to give a damn how fit you are, or what your six-pack looks like, or how muscular you are, what your bum looks like. Taking a selfie. No one's going to remember that. I remember, were you a good person or were you a dickhead?
Yeah.
And the thing is, what have you left after you've gone? All these selfies. What's that going to do?
Do you get to go into schools and give this message out? Is that the first thing you portray?
Yeah,
is that the first part of an assembly or anything?
I always break it out with a poem.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk on that. Always, because I want people to know that's where I'm coming from, because I want people to feel comfortable. Because I also come from a place of me not feeling comfortable and not feeling like I fitted in anywhere, because it was sort of like, well, I don't really, when I go to Nigeria, they call me Onyocha, which means white man, or Oyubo, which means foreigner. And then when I come to England, they call me black.
Yeah.
And then you're not English. So like, where the hell am I fitting in? So I fit in where I'm fitting in, which is here. Right here.
And people go like, where you from? And you say Derby, and they're like, but where are you actually from?
Exactly. It happened to me once in Ilkeston, and I was walking to get the bus, and the guy was like, mate, he wound the window down with 3 guys in the car, and he went, mate, fuck off back to where you came from. I said, actually, I've left my charger at your sister's house. Can you give us a lift?
Yeah.
All his mates started pissing themselves. And then it went green and he had to drive off.
Oh, mate, that's quality.
I was so happy. I don't know where it came from. When you do the drive off and then you come out with it.
Just like, a surge. You've just been given this moment.
Yeah, it was so perfect. And then the light went green. I went, bye. It was brilliant. And because he couldn't do anything because there's cars behind him.
And there's so many ways you could have taken that encounter and you could have taken that moment, but you chose to use humour, which is a great tool.
And also it will make him think about it again when he says that thing, because he was so angry, and it turns out, and then one of them was like, his sister is fit as well, or something like that, as he drove off, so he kind of, the joke was on him. But as you said with the, if you want to be somewhere, if you want to feel somewhere, be somewhere, but we shouldn't have to do this. Completely. We shouldn't have to, because he should have wound the window. Because
you're on guard then.
Exactly. He should. I had my headphones on, I thought he was asking me if I'm lost or something. So I was like being really, and then he said that to me, and I thought, and then I just literally came to me. I was like, actually, I've just been. I've left my
Imagine though, if we lived in a world where somebody stopped and said something to you out the car, like, "Hey mate, I really like your dress sense," but meant it as well.
Yeah.
It's even if they said that, you think they're taking the piss, or it's condescending, or it's not a real coming from an honest place, because we live in that place where people are on guard and people are full of ammo. So we're ready to go at each other at any moment. I know it sounds really cliche, but it's so simple. All we need to do at the minute is be nicer to one another.
Exactly. Especially in this day and age now.
Great lives.
Especially in this day and age, bro. Because one thing this has taught me, this lockdown and all these things, is people matter. Human beings matter. I'm not going to go on to the all lives matter shit. I mean, all lives do matter. Yes, they do. But I mean, human beings matter, and people that we maybe took for granted or maybe thought not about, pick up the phone, go around and see them. And at the end of the day, I think nothing's going to go back to as we class normal again after this. So we've got to just make the best of it. And by making the best of it is being good to people and getting that goodness back. Because you don't know when you're going to see that person
And like
again.
you said then, like the all lives are, it's the semantics we're getting confused with.
Exactly,
When we're like so passionate and all it is love. All it is coming from your best possible place. When I'm in every situation, how could this go best for everyone involved?
Exactly.
If we live with that mentality, you don't have to think of the semantics of, does this fit my politics? All you've got to do is be nice.
Exactly. It's so easy.
It sounds so simple, but we have confused it to its core. We really have.
It is simple though, Mike. It's something that I think, like you say, from school, I've always said this, we're shaped to be not an individual. I don't think school, the system I'm on about, not actually individual schools, I'm on about the system itself. Be a team player. This is the saying you always hear. Be a team player. Right, what have you got to say for yourself then? Right, it's always like you're questioned to do something, not like, what are you good at, or what would you like to do, or what would you love to see yourself doing, not what you're going to be in 10 years' time. I know. But what do you like? Ask those normal...
What are your passions?
What are your passions? What do you think you're good at then? Or what do you think you would like to do for the rest of your life?
If money wasn't an object, what would you be doing?
And it's wrong, the fact that well, it's not wrong because the system is deliberately designed, so we pay into the system.
Yeah.
It's not about being entrepreneurs like yourself, like me. They don't encourage you to do that.
Think for yourself
Think
as
for
well.
yourself, yeah. Because to be an entrepreneur, you have to think for yourself anyway, because you wouldn't have done it in the first place, you know? And then to be able to go, you know what, I don't agree with that because 100 people agree with it. I don't think that's right. And to have that, why you looked as the outcast because you've thought different to 100 people. Surely... And 100 people can't think the same.
Where we're going to should be to be the outcast,
Exactly.
to think differently,
of course.
to be of difference. And like we are all trying to say we're the same, but the beauty of life is we're not.
Difference.
We are completely different. From we're matter,
Same
we're vibration, we're all that, but the things that create us, the things that make us are our individualities, and the fact we're so different. That's what's beautiful.
Of course, yeah.
I find it like I listen to a podcast, Joe Rogan's.
Yeah.
He's moved to Texas,
right?
And he had this podcast with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, he's wicked.
But he was talking really cool about Texas and what it's like, and how it's so different to the other states.
Yeah.
And it's because everyone in the bar, it doesn't matter if you're gay, trans, black, white, but also you're not shouting about it, and nobody's like going, "Hey, I'm a gay," or "Hey, I'm a trans." It's just they're just being. And if you are shouting about it, then everyone's like, "Yeah, I know, like you're cool. That's what you are. That's fine." And that when I heard them talking about that passionate, I was like. That's cool. That's the world I want to live in. I want to go into the gym, see people of all different cultures, all different races, all different ways of being, but just be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, be in the moment. And also, you can learn so much things from these other people. You can go, I
and
never
have
thought
great
about that.
discussions.
I don't know about you, I love my food, see? And I absolutely, and I was a bit fussy when I was younger, actually. I didn't like spicy stuff. I love it now. I know some people can't stomach it, but if I didn't have that mindset of like, I'm going to eat chips every single day, I'd be a blob by now, probably dead. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And bored, definitely. Very bored. I mean, you know, so to try new things for me is, oh yeah, what's that then? Let me try a little bit of that. Okay, how do you make that then? Or what's in that? And it's just finding out, because if I go, no, that looks disgusting, I don't want it, then that's basically, it's what human beings do to each other. Oh, he looks different to me, so I'm not going to talk to him. Or she must be, because she's got hair in dreads, or he's got a shaved head with a Mohican, he must be a punk. Or, you know what I mean?
What we just need to start getting to the point of is, when you see that happen, you should want to go and explore it. You should want to be curious about it.
Not like run away.
And you are as a child, aren't you?
Definitely.
So it is 100% conditioned.
100.
Because I remember being a kid and like being with a liberal family. So I go to my aunt is in Sheffield, who looks after like prostitutes and like women, refugees,
ladies,
lots of people. But there was all different like colours of people together. So I'd be playing with them with no warped mindset until I got into a Ripley school, which started to jar me and started to twist the way I saw things, because I was like, oh, maybe there is a divide. Maybe I should feel this way. And I know what it's about. I understand it, but the curiosity got beaten out of me. And that's how I feel.
But that's
education to take the role of. The onus is on the higher, the education to go, right, today we're not going to bother with algebra because you lot are really racist.
We need to open your minds.
Let's just start with learning about what happiness is.
Do you know, I'm going to go to a saying here now, which is what I hear a lot. When people talk about racism, they go, they need educating. And I always think, why do you need educating to not hate somebody? Like, so you must have been educated to hate somebody. Because if you need to be educated to not hate somebody, that means somebody's taught you to hate.
It's like meta-programming.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, it's like, when we need education, no, you don't. You just need to be a nice person and just treat a person how you want to be treated. Simple as that.
That is simple.
You know, it doesn't matter what his skin colour is, or his religion, or his gender, or their gender, or their sexuality. Are they a sound person? Simple as that. Or let me find out first. You know, there's a guy, there's a girl, should I say. He used to be a guy. Now he's a girl. I don't know if I'm saying this right, so I'm still learning, but I'm going to be open about it because I'm ignorant to it.
The thing is, what's really important though, is because we're learning, I think we should be allowed to make mistakes.
Definitely.
And that's because there's such a fear of the PC culture that people really don't want to say the wrong thing so much, so they repress and then they just stay blind because they're like, oh, I don't want to make a mistake because I'm going to get bitten. If we stop, we need people on the other side of the PC culture to stop biting.
And stop pulling them up for it.
You can go, I love what you're saying.
Yeah,
really cool. Do you know when you approach it in this way, could you not use that pronoun or not use this because it makes me uncomfortable? Would you be, what would you say, like a kind of that?
Accommodating towards it.
Accommodating is the word.
Yeah, and it's like, you hit the nail on the head there. And sometimes I can get like that sometimes when I get annoyed, and I can be that snappy, but then I think to myself, hang on a second, there you go. This is why people are saying, how are you so calm about explaining it? Because I realise if I am calm, they're going to be calm and they're going to be more full comfortable about it. Like now I'm talking about transgender, I am not that clued up in terminologies. I'm not that clued up in I've heard about dead naming recently, about you're not supposed to call the person the name they were before.
What they were before.
So this lady now, I knew her as a man, right? So but he was going through the transition when I kind of knew him, and I saw that anyway, but I didn't care. And you know what he said to me? This is in Fever, actually, of all places. Before, when we were allowed to go out and be normal and talk to people. And she said to me, see, this is another thing. Into my mind. She said to me, because obviously I'm known,
it's okay.
Sorry. And she said to me, you know what I like about you is the fact that you've not mentioned my gender change. You've not mentioned it, so you just chat to me, you give me a hug. I said, yeah, because you're the same person. You just changed your appearance.
So like you say, like we're on a podcast now, and this is a platform where we want to talk about all these issues, all these topics. But on the daily, you don't want to be reminded about what do you feel to Black Lives Matter, what do you feel to trans, because you just want to talk and communicate and feel loved.
Have a relaxed conversation about it. And
the trivial is beautiful.
Yeah, of course it is. And learning things, I'm learning things from other people's ignorance as well. I pick up, so that's why, I see. So I'm doing the maths in my head thinking, because sometimes when somebody says something, I actually think, I wonder why they're saying that first. I never used to. Maybe their dad is racist, maybe their dad's abusive, so maybe that's why he's abusing somebody. People get dead angry with paedophiles, they go, they're evil, this, that and the third, and then when somebody's racist or homophobic, they're not bothered about that, because it doesn't affect them, sort of thing. So you're only bothered about one thing, but you're not bothered, and he's really bad, but that person's not really bad. So it's like, I always say, if there is a heaven and hell, there's not a really bad heaven and a really good heaven and a really bad hell. There's either good or bad. So you're as bad as the next person doing something else, just because you see that as worse, as something that you've never experienced. They're all evil. They're wrong. On a different side of things. So it's just stop going, he's worse than him. I mean, it's funny when prisoners do it. I've got a pedo coming out, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. And you've murdered somebody. But you know what I mean? It's like, what I'm trying to say to you is, don't get on your high horse. If you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house. So it's like, okay, people get really angry. I've seen them getting mad at paedophiles. That's the one I see people get so angry about. But then when they'll see a black guy getting shot with his hand behind his back, they'll just switch, they'll flick past it like it's nothing. So why does one really bother you?
That's the problem, isn't it? When we're comparing situations. Just be as angry as you want to feel at a situation. You're allowed to feel that and explain. But the problem is we don't speak in nuance anymore. We don't speak in the grey area of life because everything's got to be simple.
Black and white. Literally.
Everything's got to be literally black and white. But we've got to have easy things to talk about. Even for me, defund the police. I've had bad situations with police before, and they're not my best mates, even though my best mate is a police officer. But it's such an easy thing to say, defund the police, that everyone just puts it up on their page, splurts it out, but they don't actually know what that means. And the same thing with... there's a place in America now where they've defunded the police and it's gone to absolute shit. And they're begging for the police to come back now. They're begging for the police to come back in this area and save them.
And it's about getting the provisions in. If you are going to defund, then what are you replacing it with? It's not just defund the police and leave it.
People don't have this other alternative idea. They've not come up with structured ideas and plans. They're just saying what all the mates are saying. So we need thinkers more than ever nowadays.
And it's the same with this SARS in Nigeria. Me being Nigerian, I was close to my heart. I've seen loads of hashtags SARS. But SARS has been ended before, by the way. And if people don't know what it means, it's secret. I can't remember what it is now. Security. So it's armed robbery security, basically. That's what it stands for. So,
is that where they've done their own force?
Yes, basically. So basically, thereafter, but then they become crook robbers themselves, but corrupt themselves. But the thing is, people say end SARS, but what are you going to do?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? So when you ended SARS,
what's going to replace it?
And also they've ended SARS before, and then they've called it something else and done exactly the same thing.
We need new structures, new ideologies. The same thing with the trans thing. Like, I'm all for the movement. I'm all for calling people however they want to be called, for the individual, all that. There's things that happen in society where we have to structure it and we have to live by it. Say this is one that happened at the minute. There was I love UFC.
Yeah.
And there was somebody that had been a male for 30 years, had all the, testosterone, the muscle building, the bone density is a bit different. There's definitely differences
of course.
Of how you develop. Yeah. Turned to a woman, and then 4 years later had a belt match against another woman and absolutely destroyed her.
Really?
Battered her.
I heard about this,
they didn't know that she transitioned.
Right.
So, and didn't say, and the woman didn't consent to that, but then they got into the ring and it come out after this had happened.
Right.
But it's, again, moments like that in society, we've got to say, do we want them in the same sports? Do we want a separate category? 100%. Same for prisons. Like, if somebody had been, this has happened as well. A man got arrested, but then the semantics, he decided he wanted to be a woman. And went to a women's prison and was raping women in this prison. Do you know what I mean? There's moments where we can't just say,
get rid of this,
be tolerant or be a PC of this and respect this, when bad things can happen if we just go, you can be anything, you can do anything. Yeah. We have to have nuanced discussions of all the moments.
Microaggressions.
And have great conversations where we can go, right, we'll allow this and we should be tolerant of this and we need to educate of this, but this is the repercussions of this. Do you know what I mean? It's too much to say just a slogan. Yeah, it's too much to just go, Black Lives Matter for me, when there's so much nuance. Where we can have a great discussion together, like we've done on this bus today in the back of it.
Well, I'm hoping that this conversation sparks conversation.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm trying to say.
Emanate.
Yeah, because
keep talking.
Also, going to reiterate a point you made, a great point as well about where it's coming from. I always say it's also about the nature of how the person's asking the question. Someone's like, oh, what have you done?
Context.
Then it's a ridicule, but I'm going, no, Matt, how did you do that? That's a completely different way of asking. I know where you're coming from. It might be classed as a racist question or sexist question, but if I see that person is genuinely coming from a place where he wants to know or she wants to know, then it's not offensive, but it's only offensive if somebody is basically ridiculing it and asking a stupid question when they know full well it's a rhetorical question almost, So that's it's a different.
We don't appreciate context enough, do we?
Exactly, yeah.
Like and tone, like you just said then.
Which is how we can get lost on text for that, can't we?
There's one the guy that I teach with, Martin Illingworth, really cool guy, but he always goes, "What are you doing?" or "What are you doing?" It's two completely different ways of saying it, but two different feelings you've just given to somebody. Yeah.
And you said something about my poetry, which is brought me on something where you said, well, I use the same word.
Yeah, that's impactful.
They're doing different intonations and different rhythms, but that is for the same reason of getting people to. It's not just about. So if the topic is, I don't know, society today, so the poem is about that, and I want to mention a certain word. It's not only just to be clever and make it sound good, but it's actually to make people think actually there's more than one way that you can use this word,
language
and also there's more than one way you can think about it as well, because there's one I say is don't rely on your luck too much, don't rely on your looks too much. Because it sounds the same, it's completely different, but it's a meaning of playing with the vocabulary of words, and we can do that when we're speaking to people as well. Like you say, Martin, not a bad left foot actually. I told you I played.
Oh, he's a good player, isn't he? I played with him a little bit, like football-wise.
We used to twist that team.
I can imagine. Was it a JJB?
Yeah,
good shout.
He used to get very aggy though.
Yeah,
he was decent.
Ref!
Come on, ref, and turn around. Yeah, but he's a good lad. And it's a small word, and that goes back to another thing I was going to say to you, as in, when you talk about mutual friends. And I think you can tell a character by the friends that they keep.
Yeah,
and I've noticed there's some, and also the people you've had on here. I'm like, I know her, I know him, and they're all safe people. Do you know what I mean? And
it's energies, man. It is
really
energies.
You gravitate, don't you?
That selfish thing we were talking about earlier. Yeah. I only want to be immersed in the people that energize me and give me a good feeling. Versa. Like, I've done stuff in the past where I'm like, go out my way to have people that I know that I don't really vibe with. Yeah. I don't know why I did it. I was just testing myself, but it didn't really feed me. It didn't do anything for me. This podcast is self-exploration. I want people to have a platform to talk and share their thing. Yeah. But selfishly, I just want to vibe with nice people that I honestly get on with.
And that's not a bad selfish. That again is because at the end of the day, we're on Earth to enhance our lives, enhance our beings. We're on Earth to actually have a good time as well, which people forget about. You know, we are allowed to have a good time. We are allowed to do a few things. And people say, I hear this. People say this, like, I feel bad because I've just just chilled on the sofa all day. So what? You've been working your ass off every other day, and running around. There's nothing wrong with it sometimes, but we do it to ourselves, don't we? At times, we make ourselves feel guilty.
Yeah.
Or society makes us feel you should be doing this.
And that nature and nurture again, like even like it can happen in your home. Like I'm from my mum again, you can see she's built her empire up. But I've been given a lot of scars throughout my childhood because there was quite a lot of aggression in there. Right. Like if you were sat still, you get a clap, or you at least be told not move. Like you've got to be doing something. The moment I'm sat down with my feet up playing Xbox, I've been had the biggest scream, and like I'm fearful of sitting down now. My partner recognises it. She's like, just chill, sit down. Like I want you to sit with me and enjoy this film. But I feel, as you probably can tell with my social medias, or you can tell with how I conduct myself, it's all come from a place of like feeling worried when I'm not in motion or moving. I have to be doing something.
And I think we get...
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse. We get submerged in it sometimes, and really, we need to take time out for ourselves and not feel bad about it. Because if you can't be good to yourself, who the hell can you be good to? You can't do it to anyone else, can you?
And the only way you want to improve this world is if you're enjoying it. Of course, exactly. If you're living on the daily with good people, good intentions, having an enjoyable experience of what this universe has got, you want other people to be doing the same.
Exactly,
so you've got to make the most of it, and then that does therefore be the change you want to see kind of living.
And I think that goes the same opposite. So the people that aren't that happy, misery loves company. They want to bring other people in with them as well. Yeah. They want to draw you in to go, I need to be justified in hating these people, so I need you to hate with me. Like I say, you will never see a racist on his own walk up to you and say something racist, because he knows he'll either get his head kicked in, or it's wrong, or somebody turn around. But in a group of 10 lads, he's going to be brave. Pack mentality. See it in football stadiums. And then these guys come up and give me a hug afterwards. I'm like, yeah, but you're racist as hell. So how are you okay with me? So it's about what you're like on your own. Can you conduct that same consciousness when you're with people?
I'm just thinking, like, I was trying to a penny drop moment though. But do you know when you're talking about that, I'm trying to speak from that compassionate side and why they negate to being racist and in their packs, but not just nature and nurture. I suppose because they're always rewarded as well in their packs because they're together, and it makes them
feel better about themselves.
Like, do you know when you're with your football team and you've scored that goal and everyone picks you up and lifts you, like there is literally no better feeling than that.
There is not at all.
So if somebody, again, they're not particularly gifted, they've not got many talents, but the one thing that they've been praised for is when they've been mean to somebody. I suppose they're just getting that same feeling.
Of course they are. It's just a different way. But
it's just how we take away from that hate.
Exactly. And when those people are then told, you know what you're doing is wrong, and then they continue doing it, that's when you know it's a deliberate thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because what you've explained is perfect. Yeah. Because we all want to feel better about ourselves. But then when somebody says, you know what, bro, what you're saying there is not good. And then when somebody's told you, made you conscious of it, and you still consciously go out and say those things, that's when I think you've chosen to be bad.
I suppose the one thing I feel is because them people to me seem very easily shaped, formed and malleable.
Easily led.
What they're after is love.
Of course.
That they feel like they're lacking of something, so they need love.
Yeah.
And I suppose that one way, if they could, from somebody other of them, could hear like them giving them a positive response. Because I remember there's a guy in America, and he was on a podcast, and he was doing an interview, and on the same interview was somebody in the KKK.
Right.
Have you heard this story?
Somebody,
I think his name's something Jones. It's like amazing story, but he went on this mission to convert KKK people.
Oh yes, I've seen the film Black Klansman.
Right, I've not watched that yet, so that'll be my tonight's watching.
Amazing, Black Klansman.
I watched that, but how that all started was because after the interview, the guy was like, the KKK guy was talking to him, and he said, "Hey, I've never actually met a black person before, so this is a strange experience for me." But he was quite articulate and well put together KKK, if there is any, but he was one. But this guy, because he was so lovely and compassionate, charismatic, and it just had this energy about him. They went for a beer after.
Yeah. And they're good mates.
And then they ended up becoming good friends.
And also, he's got loads of hoods now.
That
they've given him when they've given up being a KKK.
And that was it. So then maybe 2 weeks after, they said, let's meet up and go for a drink again. And this genuinely gets me, this bit. But the guy, they meet up again in this pub, and he took his robe and took everything with him and said, "You're going to need that." And he goes, "Why?" He goes, "I'm done with it." He said, "Why?" "Because you were so lovely because you give me this feeling I've never had before."
That's what it's about,
And the other members of the KKK had shown me some kind of love or some kind of response, but I knew it wasn't real. I knew it was wrong after meeting you. And that was one of the moments where it's like love really prevailed. Love was the thing that they were lacking so much, and they just needed, you're not an idiot, you're not bad, you're not, but just, "Hey, you are, mate, have a cuddle." Like, that's
you're loved, and you kill him with kindness.
Yeah, that's
And, like I always say,
it must be hard though, man, because again, I'm coming from a sympathetic place, not really been totally racially attacked before.
You're coming from an empathetic place as well, because you're thinking from another person's point of view, which is a beautiful thing. But it's like young MC said, looking for love in all the wrong places. And this is what people are doing, because we are trying to find that role where I feel like I fit in, I feel like I belong, I feel like I'm somebody. And some people will do it in the badness. But I've done it before, where I would say there's most racist people never have any black friends. They don't know a black person or an Asian person, but they've been told all these things, so they've built up a thing in their head already. So like I say before, as soon as they met me, they've already got this preconception of me is a big black guy. Right, he's going to be dangerous. He's probably got a massive beep. I'm telling you, bro, these are the things people think, and I'm just going to be straight and honest and open, because this is this talk about it. He's probably going to be violent, stealing our women, blah blah, all these things that have been taught. But it's like, when I'm the total opposite, because I wasn't taught that. I was taught to treat people like you want to be treated. So I'd go up to him with no preconception of him and be my safe self, and gradually he's coming out, and then later on he'll turn around to me, and it's happened, and he's gone, "You know what? You made me think about things I never knew," and I don't realise I'm doing this. I'm just chatting to him on a level.
It makes total sense though, like meeting you, knowing you as what I'd class as a friend. Like, you've got that energy about you where I'd like, you have to stop and listen to it.
Yeah, and vice versa though. I'm not just saying it because I'm on your show. Same way.
Well, thank you. You'll be back on though.
I'll hold you to that.
You truthfully do have that neutral ground where you give people a comfortability that they don't feel like they're on guard. Maybe after, like, even if they do for 5 minutes, when they've truthfully met you and they know what you're about,
take the time,
everything just comes down to a real level, honest level.
But that's how it should be with everybody though. Like, I can't, like I say, even if somebody's got a swastika on their arm and then he shows it me, I'll still chat with him, and I can guarantee you we'll find things in common. There's things in common if you want to find them, but there's also differences if you want to find them as well.
I suppose this is where it separates you though, and that is a real blessing and a special ability of yours, because for a lot of people, you know how they say they've got their guns pointing up ready. The problem is the opposer and the defender, they're both at each other's, they're both ready to go. So if you've got that going, you know what, man, I'm going to throw down my shield and I'm just going to say, open arms, take it for what it is. They're probably going to lower it a lot quicker than when you've got two guns at each of us shouting. Nothing gets achieved.
Nothing gets achieved. And also, one of the things I like to plant little seeds. Just little things like Just imagine if that happened to you.
Yeah.
Don't mention colour.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you get your head kicked in like that by 5 lads? Don't say anything about, and they're like, you can see them thinking about, oh shit,
Yeah.
And then the next thing you go, then imagine somebody's done that to you because you were born looking different to them, and then they'll go, that's. Anyone with a conscience or a heart or a soul has to think about that.
It's human experience.
Yeah, you have to think about it, especially if you've been on the side of a kicking I have. You know, we think we all have at some point.
Yeah.
And like, it's horrible, you know, to get into any kind of fight. And then somebody doing it just because you were born different to them is mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely retarded, you know.
Have you got a lot of optimism? Do you feel we are going in
more so, bro?
Really?
Honestly, I'm not joking to you. There's more, like, you said something earlier before the podcast. You said when you were younger, you probably wouldn't have been that brave to talk about these things and
like
stuff like that.
moment you had today on the bus.
The moment you had today on the bus, yeah, you said that. So, but look at you now. Look at what we're doing now. So there's a lot of you, but there needs to be more of yous that speak out about it, because now these conversations are being had. Yeah, this BLM thing and George Floyd obviously made people take note and stuff, but this has been going on for fucking centuries now.
Yeah.
And this is the first year I've seen white people come out and actually speak out and go, you know what, I've been a bit racist.
Yeah.
Or I didn't realise that. Or I've done that. Or I've said that before. Brilliant. Because that's how we evolve. Because once you admit your faults or your things you didn't know,
when you're conscious,
you can only
of it.
get better. Because common sense and the human nature, you want to be a better person anyway. Everybody wants to be better.
The problem is, like, with social media, you know, we get so blindsided. I genuinely, my real naivety,
I can as well,
got to a point where I was like, hey, do you know what? I think racism's been conquered. Do you know what?
Yeah, no, but
like,
it's easy to
to
say
a level,
that.
like, I think maybe 18, then travelling, come back with a very, you know, that I'm going to save the world kind of mind, like look after people. Yeah. So I got quite hippified, if that's a word.
It is now. I like it.
We're having it.
I don't know what you mean.
I got very hippie-like, and then, you know, I started saying the jargon, saying the phatic language, not really being on my actions, and it would go into my poetry a little bit. I feel I'm more honest with it, even more honest with it now. You can feel that. But I had that language, so when I just invited people on my page that were all the same way inclined and same way thinking, that's all I saw on a daily. So I was scrolling down my feed and I'm just like, oh, everyone's dead lovely. Like, there is no hatred, there is no racism, there is no this, because that's all I fed my mind with.
Yes, exactly.
Until you start stepping out and actually meeting, listening to people like you tell your story, like,
come out of the comfort zone.
That's it. I did that.
Just coming out of your comfort zone and like going, I want to know now, I want to learn, I want to find out, I want to go, actually, I want to better myself as a person.
You have to be honest with yourself to say that you could have been blindsided in some areas of your life, and you can be more open to that. I think that's the problem. Like, people want to claim they know it all, and claim they're a part of this big movement and big change. But it's like, what about you in your life? Are you really as aware to things as you claim to be? Do you know what I mean? Because I think that was my learning. That was what I needed to go and investigate and actually speak to. Be uncomfortable.
And you felt better about it afterwards, or
completely. I realised where my lessons needed to come from and where my education really truly needed to start.
But that's a sign of emotional intelligence, because you want to know. But like, I was going to allude to this earlier, and it's like when people have a preconception of you already, you're already in the battle of trying to disprove that, if you know what I'm trying to say.
That's
when you shouldn't have to. So people are acting a certain way or speak a certain way because they don't want to speak in their colloquial vernacular. You always look at him sounding or whatever, you know. But that's the way he speaks. Just because he doesn't speak the same as you, why is it a problem? You know, you still understand what he's saying and how he's communicating. So it's about like trying to get people to break that first thing down. Right, okay, here I am. Now it's me. Now look at me. Now talk to me as a person. Now we've got rid of that stereotype and all those things. Like I say,
I think that's beautiful what you've said.
Just so let's
totally agree.
Right now, here I am. So then now let's talk to me now.
Yeah.
You've got rid of all the things that are going through your head and whatnot, all these stereotypes, all these questions I want to ask you. Do all black guys have curly hair? I can't answer for everybody. You know, this is another thing. I can't speak for the whole world. I can only speak for me, and I can speak to what I see it as. Some people, you might have a friend who's black who doesn't mind you calling him the N-word. It doesn't mean I'm going to let you call it me.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean the next man's going to let you call it him. And don't use that as an excuse to say, oh yeah, but he says that he lets me call it him. That's his problem. That's his thing. That's your friend. And if he wants to speak, I can't turn around to him and tell him, don't let him call you that, because it's you.
Yeah.
But it's not me. So it's like, this is again going back to the individualism.
Yeah.
Stop putting people in the same bracket.
Yeah.
Because we're all different, as you said before. What our experience shapes it. Yeah, shapes it. I like, for instance, I got called sometimes, white coconut, because most of my friends were white, by my friends who had all black friends, because they grew up in Normanton and the areas where it's predominantly black.
Right, okay.
I grew up with white guys, but I didn't know that they were white. But then my black friends were like, oh, you ain't got any black friends. I'm like, well, you're my friends, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, because you don't hang around with me now.
Why have you had to draw them lines up together?
Exactly. Why? Yeah, but again, this is learned behaviour, because they've seen white people make them feel outcasts. So then they're marginalising, because there is racism amongst black people as well. Don't get it twisted. There's colorism. There's tribalism. There's all. There's you know, you're from the small islands when you're from Jamaica. Yeah. So there is and that all stems from slavery and colonisation. And this is what people don't realise. They go, oh, it was ages ago. Stop going on about it. They don't realise how much that still affects people till this day. I know people that are light skinned.
Yeah.
In a black family, and then the black side of the family will say to him, "Oh, you're too white. You need to get darker. Get out in the sun." And I've got the white family going, "But you're not black. You're white. You're mixed. You're brown. You know what I mean?" So
I had the local healers on here, and do you know Harley Blue?
I recognise the
phenomenal
name.
artist.
I recognise the name.
Reached a few mil on Spotify now. She's doing really good. But she is for, I think it was Nigerian background, but like also her dad was Scottish. I think it was. But again, that half caste.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's talking about in her neighbourhoods, like the experiences she's had to go on. Sorry, Holly, if you're watching this and I got it wrong, the two, but I know that the message is still there. Like being in her neighbourhoods and the black people talking to her in a certain way, the white people then talking to her. So then she felt completely alienated.
And that's why I can see it, because as I said to you, I feel that with England not fully accepted, in Nigeria not. I feel more accepted in Nigeria. I don't feel there's a prejudice in Nigeria. I just feel like they know I'm different because the way they're looking at me.
When you're doing a workshop, do you try and not emphasise on colour then?
You know,
do you just go and
very rarely about it?
So you're talking wholly about self, like individuality, show your true colours, like what does that mean, and trying to make people into little empaths and little like
that's it.
It's lovely. I love everything you're about, man.
It's Black History Month, which I hate as well, because that should be just history. Then they say talk about it, then I specifically will. But the whole ethos of True Colours is not colour, it's about you.
Yeah, I love it, man.
You know
I really do.
That's the whole point. Show your true colours has got nothing to do with colour. How ironic. Which is why true colours can be any colour logo, whatever top it's on, because we come in all shapes and sizes, but what we do come in is good and bad.
I hope people understand, and that's my little snippet for this podcast. I'll take a lot out, but that's a beautiful thing what you're about, and that's what I feel. Having this conversation today, like I've always known about you, really respected everything you're about, but getting to a core understanding of what the message is and what you truly want to, what would you say, show?
Yeah, I just want to expand it. Yeah, I want to showcase it, expand it. I want it to be out there. I want it to be what's the word? Almost intravenous.
It's the most important thing now, and that of what you're talking about is learning to be the best version of you
yourself.
You can be.
That's it.
The best version,
and letting other people be their best
and let
version.
them explore their own versions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And work from that. That seems so important now.
But you know what's funny? Because somebody said to me, about 2 months ago, you're ahead of your time with this True Colours, and I said, no, I'm not ahead of my time. People are just behind. Because this is a standard thing. You know, this is from the time of day. How do I say it? Day of dawn. From dawn of day, or whatever you want to call it. From the get-go, from the TikTok.
Now.
From the TikTok, from the get-go, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it, this is from the conception. We should be treating each other as, like I said this to you before, you put 5 babies in the room, one's Maltese, one's Chinese, one is Japanese, say one's Israeli, and one is white English.
Yeah.
They'll just play together.
Yeah, that's it.
They don't know anything. Same with dogs. You put a different breeds of dogs.
Yeah.
They just play together. They don't go.
Going as well back a little bit to what you're about. You know, in a relationship, every time you've been in a relationship that hasn't worked, it's because there's two conflicting people, but that don't know what they're about.
Yeah.
So you just go into something because you feel a lack of something.
Yeah.
You're trying to find love in external places and in other people.
Yeah.
And then you realise you don't work because what you've truly not mastered is self-love.
Exactly.
Is going,
Not
you know
about
what,
you.
I'm Mikey. I love rugby. I love football. I love my sport. I love to be kind. I love go gym. Do you know when I've worked it all out? I know my politics. I know what I really want to be. Then you meet someone like I have, Chrissy. You meet somebody aligned with that who works. But until you know yourself, you can't go out and tell others how to act.
No, you can't.
And this is a bit of a Jordan Peterson thing, who I don't always agree on.
Right.
But I think this is a metaphor, but everyone's chosen it as like literal. But his part of his book, which is 12 ways to improve self, but he's like, before you go out there and change your politics, change everyone else's views, go and tidy your bedroom first.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, that's the mind that like, feels like
So true.
work on self, work on all your surroundings, and then go out there and start shifting it. It feels like what you've done.
Naz said it on one track. He says, how can you go, it's to the president, he said, how can you go, it is on a track, how can you go and fix outside when you haven't fixed home yet? And it's so true. That's relative to all of us. You know, I can't be turned around. If, like, for instance, imagine me going to say, show your true colours, right? I'm going to all this college and school, but at home, I'm completely the opposite person. I'm fake and I'm nasty and, you know, horrible and whatnot. And then it'd be like, well, I'm a hypocrite then. I can't live that life. And
people sniff it out as well.
Of course they do.
People know it from a mile off.
My problem is I can't shut my mouth, as you can probably tell. So I can't hide who I am anyway. That's just the way I am.
You are a podcaster's dream.
You know what? I said it to my mate before I came in there. I said, yeah, he's getting me on. He's really cool. I've sent her your link, by the way. I sent her both your link. I sent her really cool, Mike. I'm the old farmer. And I said, I just picked you up anyway. And I said, he's probably getting me on there because I'll talk the shit out of me. You won't have to say anything.
I can sit back, put a cigar on.
You'll be like, But like I said, I'm just glad you give me the opportunity because, like, there's so many things that. Like, one of the reasons why I started writing poetry is because I wanted to tell loads of people the same thing at once instead of repeating it.
Yeah.
And this just gives me the opportunity to people to listen to it when in their own leisure.
Would you do your own podcast? Because I really think it's something that's in the making.
I need your help though, because
I'm helping.
I don't know how to. Creative Ways as well. Emma Isaacs is wicked as well. I've got a big her up because she brought me on her podcast and
I've listened to it. Yeah, I've listened to
she's
that.
wicked as well.
Yeah, please do link us.
Creative Ways,
awesome.
give her a follow. She's wicked. She's doing bits
you,
as well, and you know, I think she's following you vice versa. But like on hers is the same thing, giving the opportunity, and also the audience you have. It's probably the difference to the audience that I will have, because you know different people to me. That's it. And also, I hope people in this area that's very predominantly white English may be hearing something that they may not have thought about before, and it might change their mindsets.
I think podcast is such an important platform, and I think it's a really new world that people need to embark in. Because, you know, as you talk, I feel this is an art form, and as we're discovering and we're doing the journey, like with science. It tries to prove itself wrong to get itself right. And that's what you're doing with discussion. If you aren't cemented or strong with what you're feeling and you start to speak to somebody else and you know you're not like strong in your mind,
you're not gonna.
It doesn't hold up, and it becomes really like rigid. It becomes gritty, and you struggle. So doing this, it becomes like a real tool for helping me discover self again and helping me discover what I'm about and learning on that. Because I really don't claim to know anything at all.
That's a sign of intelligence, though, bro. To not know is a sign of intelligence.
Yeah, that's the biggest no. Is my way of being. Like, you can have. I wrote this lyric the other day, but it was like, opinions are faulty because if you don't budge, you judge.
Yeah, so true.
And that's my way of being in this. It's like every single encounter, like this one today, I'll go and edit this later or tomorrow. but I'll be listening to it, I'll be reflecting on it, I'll go back to it maybe in even a month's time, or somebody else can pick it up, and it's bringing new conversation, new discussion that I've never thought of before, and I think it's so important for people to go on the journey with, because you can get so much out of a poem, you can get so much out of a song or whatever, but listening for an hour, 2 hours, which people seem to not have time for so much at the minute, but you can really start to get a grasp on self. Do you know what I mean?
And also as well, you find things that you kind of surprise yourself, because you think, actually, I do that as well, or I think like that. Right, okay, I'm not the only person out there who thinks this way, you know. And as I said to you, you asked me before, what's one of the things you want to talk about? And I was saying conformity, because I think conformity is what gets people into a lot of trouble. And I mean that in a way of trouble as in, once you start conforming, right, you're lessening your brain capacity, because what you're doing when conforming just basically is, I'm going to go with the wave. I'm just going to blend in the middle, and because everyone else is doing it, I'm going to do it. So that what you're doing is you're actually losing brain power, because you're not thinking about why am I doing this, or is this right, or what alternatives have I got, or have I actually thought about if this is something that I want to get involved in? Oh, my mate's doing it, he's doing it, they're doing it next door, so I'm going to do it, you know. And this is what I would say, that I said this to my friend, bloody hell, I'll say this, I've forgotten a frigging name, Rebecca Henshaw, and we talk a lot, and she was saying, I said to her, when you are in the majority, it makes you less of a thinker, unless you're a thinker. I know it sounds really mad, but if you're not a thinker and you're in a majority, it's just easy to go with the ride, because you don't need to think about it. You can just repeat what everyone else is saying.
That's what I was saying about the jargon before, like the defund the police. Everyone just jumped on it, spewed it out, and didn't know the repercussions of what that could actually potentially mean.
Or what it even means.
Exactly.
Some people don't know what defund means.
I literally had that. Somebody said, we need to defund the police, and I just went, and do what? And they went, and they literally just got stuck on that point. I had no backup, and I was like, right, well, what we need to do is have platforms like this, have people going out on the daily, inquisitive, and ready to have them tricky discussions that don't take 5 minutes of a hashtag to spew out.
And then I've done my bit.
It's a really long, it's not arduous though, it can be a beautiful process.
Of course it can.
Saying to my friend the other day, I've had a baby now, absolutely
congrats,
over the moon elated, but before I was on this journey of self-discovery where it's like, fucking hell, like, this is long. Do you know what I mean? I'm knackered now. What's the answer? Now I've had a baby and the pressure's off me a little bit. Now I'm a bit more like, ooh, I've got learning to do. This is nice. Let's do it.
Another challenge.
And that's how we should align ourselves is, ooh, let's learn. Let's grow. Every day we want to grow. So I think we've just got to reprogram. We talk a lot, don't we, brother?
We do, also, there's a lack of self-confidence in people as well, because to want to say something that may not sit well with everyone else around you, I can understand it can be daunting. I've played in football teams where I've been in the change rooms, and you've had big characters in there. You don't really want to speak up in case somebody shuts you up and you go, oh, you're full of shit, shut up. You know, what a rubbish point.
And that pack mentality, people will all jump on that person
because they don't want to be that person. But then you've got to think.
They wait and see which way it's going to go. And if the other guy's on top, they're like, and
exactly.
you're like, oh, come on, you sheep.
You bloody. And not just that as well. If you're jumping, then this is what I would challenge you to do. So if you're jumping on the side of the majority, why are you jumping on the side of the majority? You're jumping on the side of the majority because you don't want to be the minority. Because you don't want to be that person. So if you know you don't want to be that person, ask yourself, why don't you want to be that person? And then if you can work that out, then stop doing it to other people. Otherwise you are a hypocrite. As simple as that, you know? Well, I can't say any more because I just think people don't see their own hypocrisies. All they see is pointing at this person, pointing at that person. But then if they actually look at yourself and thought, actually, I'm part of the problem here, you know? And I've had to do it myself. I do it myself because, mate, I'll tell you another thing. I've had to stop myself hating white people because of my experiences with white people all my life. I've had to train my brain to not go, he's a racist motherfucker. I can't stand these lot. Because the experiences I've had all my life, I shouldn't speak to a white person again. Honestly, that's the God's honest truth.
I can imagine.
When people get hit once by somebody, or 5 black guys beat a guy up, and then they go, "Oh, I got beaten by 5 black guys, so I'm racist all the rest of my life." Try having what I've had, being spat on, being called everything under the sun, being pushed into a flipping bramble bush, and then beat. Listen, bro, I could go on for days, but what I'm trying to say to you is, I still don't think all white people are evil. I don't think I should do. I could easily do, because I've got the evidence to do it.
Yeah.
But I still look at you as an individual.
Again, on a micro level, because I love my sport, love my football. Used to go to JJB and Willows every week religiously. But the teams that would always get hard to play against and argue with us.
Black teams.
No, it was Indian.
Oh, Indian.
And I remember, what would I be again? 15, 16?
Yeah.
So the conversations I was having with my friends after their matches weren't very nice about that culture.
Yes, yeah.
And they were talking in really derogatory ways. And it wasn't till I said it in the wrong hands and around my mum, I think, probably once, to my dad, because he was a pro football, semi-professional footballer. So I was having this football chat, and I goes, we've got to play this team and whatever. And I got snapped straight out of it. And I'm happy that that's the case, because I don't want to be programmed in that way. I need to be called up on when I'm saying the wrong thing.
And also because... That's what, going back to the point before, because your mum did that to you, you then became aware that it was wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I reflect, because I'm a reflective person. It wasn't just a shouting at, and then you go, what did I do? What's and they don't give you explanation. I was old enough to sit there and go, oh yeah, if I was treated, and I got to... so what do you say? Align the stars, and go. That makes total sense. I'm not going to use that term anymore. So,
exactly. And then I'm glad that you told you sort of exercising these, not demons, but things that happen in your past. Because this is what I mean.
Human.
It doesn't make me look at you any worse. It makes me look at you actually more respect, because I think. Fair
honest.
play to you, honest, because people think, I better not tell him I was racist because he's going to hate me. No, I'll hate you more if I find it out later. And you've never told me that. Why don't you just flipping say, it's not even about being racist, bro. It's not even about being ignorant or prejudiced or sexist. It's just about owning up to the things maybe you didn't know about and you got it wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to learn, so like I have to train I've had to do it for ages to not go into that mindset of, and you know what, I've played football for years. In the change rooms where I've heard some of the worst, disgusting, racist, downtrodden, vile things.
Not a pretty place to be, is it?
It's not. You have to be very, strong.
Especially in Sunday League. Well, I don't know. I never really got to that level. I think I let my dad down on that, but...
Same shit, different toilet, bro.
Great saying.
It really is, though. And like, so as I got older, in the teams, I started speaking up more. I'm like, no, bro, you can't be saying that around me. I'm not having it.
Good on you,
I'm not having it. I'm not having it, bro. I don't care. I'm not. When I was 19, 20, you got all these big 28-year-olds.
With it.
Yeah, and you have to. And I went to the manager once when I was at Burton Albion. I'm not going to say his name. It was before Nigel Clough. And I said to him, oh, yeah, I feel ostracised and abrogated. And he said, you ostracise yourself. That's his response to me. And that really hurt me. Because I was telling him, I was trying to explain to him, that was his reply to me, and he probably won't even remember, he'll never hear this anyway, but he might do, you never know.
We never know where we're going.
But like, he didn't realise how much that hurt me. And I never said anything to him about it. And if he's probably if he ever listened to this, he'd probably be surprised because he probably thought we got on really well. But because when you're young, you got to keep your mouth shut because otherwise you've got an attitude or you're kicking off. So I went to him to ask, and this is the thing about having people in place of different ethnicities who've experienced it, that they can go, right, actually, I see where you're coming from. Let me, even you don't have to have had the racism, but you can have you can have been bullied before or just been the odd one out and just empathise with that. You don't have to be black to understand what it's like to feel abrogated or ostracised. No one wants to do that. And also, as soon as Nigel Clough came in, he got rid of all the cliques straight away.
Really?
Yeah, straight away. I'll give him props for that. Got rid of all the cliques straight away. He used to give me a lift, pick me up and stuff. We used to have chats in the car, and like he changed a lot and got us, the first team players, sitting with some of the young players, chatting to them, and we started winning. There was no surprise, the correlation between...
I mean, you could really take that lesson that he implemented of getting rid of cliques and taking it into the grand scale 100%, of society.
100%.
Because that
100%.
seems to be
that's what it is.
A constant, isn't it? People smelling each other's trumps, but like literally boosting each other up and going, yeah, you're great, you're virtue signalling.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's like, is that authentic? Is that real? Or is that just coming from a part where you know you're going to get likes and clicks?
Yeah, exactly.
So
clickbait and I'm doing this to get props.
Hearing that side of what Nigel Clough did, that's fascinating.
I mean, and the thing is as well, it's like there was something said on oh God, I think it was on Radio Derby with like Craig Ramage said something. So, and he said something about the coloured play. No, he said the black players. Don't know if you remember this comment. He said something that it was the black players. When I look at them, they had their heads down, they had attitude, this kind of, and then the two other guys on the radio never even pulled him up for it. They just carried on like it was nothing. And I was at Derby when he was at Derby, and I looked up to that guy.
Right.
He was a striker. I was a striker, and he was scoring a bag of goals for Derby. Him and Dean Sturridge. I always get them mixed. Dean Sturridge, Daniel Sturridge's uncle or cousin. Those two were the killers in Derby, and I looked up to them not because they were black and white. They were wicked strikers.
Just great at what they do.
And when he said that, it broke my heart, bro. When I found out he said, and also I know some of his family, and also I know he's got dual heritage. Nephews and nieces, and so you would think somebody who's in that position would be much more educated to not say something so stupid. And the last bit I'm going to say on this bit, all those players were mixed race, which means they were half white, half black. So why was it only the black side of them that got mentioned and not the white side that made them bad? You know what I mean?
Oh, mate.
It's crazy.
You give me shivers a little bit listening to that. I'm like, how has somebody had such a clanger on that? I've not heard that before, but you have to send me a link to that.
Yeah, I'll send it, man, because I couldn't believe it, and I think he's still at Derby, but at the end of the day, this is what happens when you have people in place that have prejudices and don't call them out. Because the guy who was next to him, I'm guessing they didn't think there was anything wrong with that. Because if I was sat there, I was like, what did you just say? I would. I'd be like, hey, are you not going to pull him up for this?
And that's a little bit of the, well, not a little bit, a lot of bit of the problem is media and the way that they... they want to just show the PC culture. They can't call each other out and let each other know because they need a flowing conversation that doesn't speak outside the realms of what we know. Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So,
and also they're playing to a majority, don't forget.
Of course.
So the majority, if the majority of listeners are white, why would they give a damn about talking about racism? You know, why should I talk about it? Because at the end of the day, the majority of us who pay us the money in subscription are white, so we don't give a shit about the minority few. What do they matter?
Yeah.
But then when we kick up a fuss, people will say, oh, they're always moaning about things, but nothing gets done. So that's why people are moaning. But, you know, bro, at the end of the day, like I say, it's not a skin colour thing, it's a mindset thing. I've said this so many times, not if you're white, black, Asian, not any kind of religion or any gender. It's a mindset thing, and it's what's in here. And this is why true colours, to me,
I was just going to say, that's why it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's
everything
just about,
you're about and what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just about getting out.
I'll ask you this quick bit, and then I know we've got places to be, but I really want you back on, man. I think we're going the football.
There's more.
We're going to do one together, man. I think there's something blossoming from this.
Definitely.
Have you got forward-thinking steps then with True Colours? Do you know what I mean? We're in COVID times. We've managed to not even speak about
Trainers
that. Well done us.
Soon. Trainers are coming out soon. And also my poetry book is coming out soon, which is...
Oh, man.
Which has been taking ages. And also...
Fantastic.
Martin... I can't remember his surname now. Martin Gray, yes. He's been helping me with getting it together and putting it together.
Brilliant.
And so that is the next thing. And also SYTC trainers are coming out soon. I can't wait. And Emma Creative Ways is helping me with the design. I've given her my crayon drawing.
Oh,
I'm rubbish. I did it on the phone.
Here's your blueprint.
Awful, by the way. Again, I told her I can write, I can't draw. My brothers can. So she's going to be designing them. They're coming out. And then the other thing is, this is how it's moving though, bro. It's online workshops now because unfortunately, you've got to move with the times. And I'm guessing...
You're a creative mind, man. You're going to come up with something really... what's the word? What is the bloody word?
Innovative,
that's a good word. Interactive,
yeah.
That's it, because I've had to start doing a few.
But as you said earlier, just about, you know, when you said about your daughter, and you're like, oh, I've got something new to learn about now. This is me as well with all this, because I need something. My brain needs stimulation.
You just have to not be fearful of change. You have to just go with it, like move with it, and treat it as a dance.
Change is a beautiful thing, man, and people shouldn't. You should, as you said before, move towards it. Don't move away from it. You know, embrace change. Yeah, embrace change. It's scary sometimes. Don't get me wrong, especially if you've been doing something all your life. And you've always thought a certain way, you've always done a certain, and then obviously so that's wrong, by the way. It's hard to take. Your fundamentals that you've lived for most of your life are wrong.
Yeah.
Or not even wrong, you've never thought about why it could be wrong.
like, just on a side note, I've listened to a podcast recently. It was a bit of a random one, not any names that you'd know, but they got this guy on who believed in flat Earth.
Right.
And he had people, astronauts on, scientists on, loads of really cool people. Yeah. They were all sort of explaining to him this way.
Yeah.
But because he'd built friendships, he'd built a whole life surrounded by this belief system.
Flat grounders, yeah.
He just couldn't
come out of it.
He couldn't come out of it. And even when they were giving great information and giving him points, when he said something, they could always back it up with fact and figures and everything. Yeah. He couldn't break away. He went flat to it because that's all he could. His whole existence would crush.
Exactly.
But you've got to be willing for a new.
Yeah.
Always be willing and ready for a new.
And just to have that humility to go, actually I was wrong. Something beautiful about saying I'm wrong. Something beautiful about saying I'm sorry. There's something lovely, and it's a relief actually. Once you get that off your shoulders, to say that word, you don't
have to carry this
front.
huge burden front.
You're just like, I know everything. And it's something I've had to learn myself, because sometimes to not ask a question, or ask a question, I don't want to ask it because someone's going to think I'm stupid. But you're more stupid to not ask the question than to ask it, because once you've asked it, you've learned. You've grown nothing. Yeah, it's easy to keep quiet, basically. Easier to keep quiet than to speak. But bro, thank you so much.
Emeka, man, where can people find all your stuff? Because you need to plug yourself.
I should have known that, shouldn't I? So I'm going to start with YouTube, but I can never get the link. It's True Colours on YouTube anyway. Social media, Instagram is True Colours Clothing Official with the underscore in between each word, but you'll find it. And then True Colours Clothing Facebook, and then my website is for the clothing www.showyourtruecolours.co.uk. But the movement is all about the people, man. If we come together, this world will be so much more of a better place for all of us.
Wow.
Heal the world.
I knew it was going to go into a beautiful number at the end. Guys, I told you, I did say it was going to be a belter. He's got something else up his sleeve. I can't wait.
Present for you. I forgot about that. I was trying to find it earlier.
Shall I open it on here?
Open it
on here. Okay, guys. This is a first. But by the way, other guests, take note.
Can you tell what it is yet?
Can you tell me what it is yet? This is Chris is going to cry her eyes out. Oh, mate.
I hope it fits.
I might cry on a podcast.
Oh, bless you,
this
bro.
is amazing.
I thought it had to be done.
Guys, oh my God. Remember, guys, show your true colours. This is a little baby grow. Oh, man. Oh, mate,
mad love.
Thank you so much. Look at that, guys.
And she's showing her true colours from day one, and I'm not being funny to her. From a parent to you. From you two parents, lovely human beings.
Oh man, that's so nice. That is
bless you,
really,
I'm
really
glad you
sweet.
like it. I was hoping that you better bloody like it.
Could you imagine? I don't gone.
Get rid of it.
She will. I promise you, man. Everything we've discussed in this podcast, I'm going to promote. You've got your old farm bus one.
Well,
make sure you. I've not got a cool slogan yet.
I need to
show your bus.
Find where you get these bags. Where you got these bags? Because I've literally was just looking the other day for True Colours bags.
This feels like a beautiful Christmas day, doesn't it? There we go.
Hoodie.
Old farm bus. Show your busking session style.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Can't wait to wear that, mate. I'll get the pictures for you, mate. Trust me.
You, man. Right, guys, this has been emotional, a roller coaster. I've said it'd be a belter. Emeka, you're a fantastic human being.
You too, bro.
Thank you for being here. Guys, thank you for being a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. What a wonderful world.
Thanks for listening.
Be nice to one another. Remember that.
Peace out. Show your true colours.